Good afternoon. Welcome to Nashville today. We will be here today on a matter of a formal hearing. At this time, I will turn this over to our administrative judge, and I guess we'll be ready for a roll call.
Yes. All right, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Today is January 19th, 2023. As Sheriff Horton said, we are in Nashville, Tennessee. This particularly is the case of the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance versus Zachary Benedetti. The docket number is 12.40-224941A. I am Administrative Judge Claudia Padfield, assigned by the Tennessee Secretary of State to sit with the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission on this case. Representing the department this afternoon is Attorney Kim Cooper. Do we have Mr. Benedetti with us today? Mr. Benedetti, perfect. I'm going to address a couple of things with you in a minute, but first we need to have a roll call to see if we have a roll.
All right, we'll call the roll. Commissioner Birchfield. Commissioner Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Cherry.
Here.
Commissioner Forrester. Commissioner Green.
Here.
Commissioner Halsey. Commissioner Isbell.
Present.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Spangler. Commissioner Wagner.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Vice Chair Faulkner. Commissioner Parton.
Here.
Chairman Parton. You have a quorum.
Great, thank you. All right, Mr. Benedetti, if you'll step up to the podium, please, at this table, I need to address you. One, do you understand that you have the right to hire an attorney in this matter to represent you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And I take it by the fact that you are here representing yourself today, that you're waiving that right to counsel, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
I sent an email a couple of weeks ago about the 10 cloud. Did you receive that email?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So you understand that I'm not going to look at any physical exhibits today, but any documents that you want to offer for the commission to consider as evidence. Have you uploaded those into the 10 cloud account?
Yes, ma'am.
Is my microphone not working?
You gotta turn it on.
See, I'm not that in there. So, Mr. Benedetti, today's hearing is going to proceed as follows. Both sides will have the opportunity to make an opening statement. I'll give you some clear instructions, particularly as to that, when we get to that point in the hearing. The burden of proof today is on the department, therefore they will go first in presenting their case. You have the right to be present for all witnesses who testify on behalf of the department. You have the right to ask them questions. When we get to that point in the hearing, I will also give you very clear instructions as to how to do that. At the close of the state's proof, if you are not called as a witness, you cannot have to testify if you don't want to, since the burden is not on you. However, you absolutely have the right to testify on your own behalf today. You have the right to call witnesses on your behalf. You have the right to submit documents and evidence for the commission to consider. At the close of both sides' proof, you'll have an opportunity to make an argument to the commission as to why they should move in your favor. Then we will go, will still be on the record, and all discussion will be in public. You have the right to be present for all discussion by the commission, and they will make a decision today as to what disciplinary action, if any, should be taken regarding your post commission certification. Any questions for me as to procedure?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you may have a seat then, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Commission members, I will remind you that you are not to use your electronic devices and the iPads in front of you for anything aside from looking at the documents that are submitted to evidence. Once I admit them into evidence, you are not to do any research on your own. If you have any questions regarding the rule of law and procedure, I can advise you as to that. I know you're all used to doing your own investigations, but you just have to suspend that for this proceeding. Any other preliminary matters, Ms. Cooper, from the department's perspective, maybe to address?
We do have some agreed stipulations if you'd like to hear those now.
Yes, that would be fine.
Mr. Benedetti and I communicated and have agreed that we can stipulate to the following. That Mr. Benedetti went to Walter State for basic and graduated June 6th of 2019. That he was post-certified on June 7th of 2019 and issued post-certification number 9271-9485. That he did receive notice of the hearing December 15th, 2022, and that he was employed with the Laverne Police Department from October 13th of 2020 until October 1st of 2021. Based on those stipulations, I'd like to go ahead and enter into evidence the exhibits. The first is the entitled Benedetti Acknowledgement of Service. The next one would be the certified mail receipt. Okay.
Get ahead of me here.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Cooper, have these documents been uploaded for the commission members to see?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll accept as exhibit number 1, the acknowledgement of service. Let me just rename it. The next exhibit
Is the certified mail receipt.
I'll accept that document. This is exhibit number 2. Next exhibit,
And the next is labeled post and basic. It would be Mr. Benedetti's post certificate and his basic certificate.
I'll accept those documents as going to exhibit number 3. Commission members, now that you've heard of just a few background identifying issues with Mr. Benedetti, does anyone have any reason for them to accuse themselves in this case? Any prior knowledge, typically regarding Mr. Benedetti's action that led us here today? Okay. Anything else then, Ms. Cooper?
No, ma'am.
Any opening statement, Ms. Cooper?
Yes, ma'am, just briefly. Members of the commission, Judge Hadfield, Benedetti, we are here once again to hear a request from a department to decertify an officer, to revoke a certification as one of the is the highest discipline that this commission can bring down. And unfortunately, sometimes it is appropriate in cases of dishonesty, which is what we're dealing with here. You'll hear from Chief Davis that Mr. Benedetti could no longer be relied upon to be truthful in his reports, and therefore he is useless basically as an officer, not only to their department, but to in court to testify. It's really just a sad situation because dishonesty like that, like what they experienced here, can end a career. So at the end of the proof, I'll be asking you to revoke Mr. Benedetti's certification.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Mr. Benedetti, an opening statement is what each side thinks the evidence will present today. It is not required by either party. Even attorneys sometimes waive opening statements. It is not testimony. So if you would like to make an opening statement, made to the commission on what you think the proof will present today. Would you like to make an opening statement, or would you like to waive your opening statement?
I'd like to make an opening statement, Your Honor.
You may step up to the microphone.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, I apologize that you have to be here today. I apologize for our out-of-town guests. Your Honor, I know your time is very valuable, and our state Congress members who may or may not be with us. I apologize. I made a mistake. I did not do my due diligence before I wrote my report. I did not take the time to investigate the matter myself before going before the IA panel with Lieutenant Durham and at the time Lieutenant Hatcher. The definition of a lie is something that I've thought about ever since I was terminated on October 1st. A lie is an intentional act to deceive. You will see today in the arguments and the evidence that I was not in the correct state of mind during these internal affairs interviews. you will see that I am flustered. I'm asking a lot of questions during the IA process. You will see me asking questions as to what happened due to a medical diagnosis that I received in between the first IA interview and the second IA interview, due to a traffic collision that occurred after the first incident, or the incident that we are here for today. You will also see that my report was not very detailed. My supplemental narrative for a high profile case such as this was very short. That is because my dash cam footage was confiscated at the scene. I was not allowed to review it because it was classified. Once our dash cams are classified, only the chief and those with his approval may view the dash cam. I will ask the committee today, whatever your decision may be at the end of this, I will respect it. Like I said in the first informal hearing, I will respect any decision that this committee makes. However, I'm not a useless officer. I was a very productive officer. I was given awards for my service at my time with the Oak Ridge Police Department. If you ask any officer at LPD who served with me,
Your Honor, at this point, I'm going to object. We're getting into testimony more than just opening statement.
Well, I will remind you, your statements are not testimony. You'll have the opportunity to provide testimony to the commission, Mr. Vendetti. So this is just telling the commission what we think the evidence will present.
I think you will see through my testimony and through the state's testimony that there will not be grounds to decertify me. And I hope that is your decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vendetti. The first witness
Would be Assistant Chief Hatcher.
Sarah Chayo. What is going to, or is he going to? I would have set up here. Or is he going to stay?
I would prefer that you stand here just because it's already mic'd up and everything. That's have to. And then I'll be.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you. Thank you.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Brent Hatcher,
And where do you work, sir?
the Burn Police Department,
And what's your position there?
Deputy Chief.
Deputy Chief. I called you Assistant Chief. I apologize.
That's okay.
Deputy Chief Hatcher, how long have you been with the Burn Police Department?
Started in 1993, so 93, 2002, 2004 to present.
And how long have you been Deputy Chief?
About 1 year.
I want to take you back to March of 2021. What was your position at that point?
I was a lieutenant, third shift command.
And you know why we're here. Did an incident occur on or about March 2nd of 2021?
It did.
And what was that?
There was a pursuit of an individual that apparently had struck, at that time, what I was informed by the chief, had struck two of our vehicles and led officers on a large pursuit and ended up in a collision in Metro Nashville. I was asked to look into that pursuit based on the fact that I was third shift command and was not involved in it.
And did you do that?
I did.
And if you could tell the commission how you went about investigating the incident and what, if anything, caused you some concern.
Originally, I obtained all of the reporting information, the CAT cards, all of the dash cam videos from everybody that was involved, and began to review all of those videos, which took quite a bit of time, several hours each day, along with my third shift duties. During the course of those, I went back to the beginning of the incident because I wanted to see how it started, how it began, how it ended, so to speak. And in the process of doing that, reviewed Officer Besmeyer's video, Officer Benedetti's video, Officer Klein's, Officer Dwyer's on the origination. And in the course of that, watched the video play out. And on Officer Benedetti's, the footage was probably the best of all of it. The indication in the middle of this event, after the vehicle had left the scene, was that Officer Benedetti had advised he was struck by the suspect mirror.
Struck by the suspect.
Suspect's mirror. In watching the videos, it came to light that that wasn't the case. I reviewed it over and over. And I did this at half speed, at quarter speed, just to make sure that I had the information correct. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. I went through from two to three different angles. Officer Dwyer's was looking downward at it. Officer Benedetti's was looking upward at it, even including Officer Fesmeyer's. And then watching the videos as they were playing out, during the course of Officer Fesmeyer and Officer Benedetti still being on scene because their vehicles were disabled. Benedetti is heard on his in-car saying, I don't know if it was my car or your car that he hit me with. And then obviously during that course, the pursuit's still going on. And Officer Fesmeyer says it doesn't matter, it's still aggravated assault. And he puts that over the radio to re-emphasize part of the reason why the officers were chasing in the first place. And so once that was learned and everything was looked through, I brought it to the command staff. We had a meeting and I showed them the videos from the beginning and explained what my concerns were as it related to Officer Benedetti's actions. At which time I was told to go further into do it as an internal affairs.
Did you conduct an internal affairs
I did.
investigation?
Yes, I did.
And to be clear, there were several officers that were involved in this chase, correct?
That's correct.
And what kind of speeds are we talking?
In excess of 100 miles an hour for several of them, up to 119 miles an hour. Sergeant.
And at any point, did the suspect car or any of the officers have to go in, not have to, but in oncoming traffic?
Yes, at the intersection of Murfreesboro Road and Waldron Road, it was a heavily congested area at the time, and the suspect vehicle decided to go into the eastbound lanes of Murfreesboro Road through traffic, and Sergeant Stats followed him directly through that same line. And then ended up getting stuck across one of the cross medians, and several other cars took over the pursuit at that time.
Okay. And was an investigation also done on Sergeant Stats?
It was.
And why was that?
Based on the carelessness of his actions as it deemed to being in a sergeant's position, knowing that how many cars were involved in the pursuit, his due regard based on the fact of going into the opposite lane of traffic against better judgment, and again, reaching speeds and actually overtaking several other cars with no necessity to do so.
Okay. And did you complete a report that you then passed up to your chain of command?
I did.
I'm going to hand you this document. This has previously been provided to Mr. Benedetti as well. You recognize that report?
I do.
And what is that?
This is the complaint and allegations of the internal affairs that was conducted.
And at this time, Your Honor, I would ask that the document labeled IA report. Pulling it up to make sure I have the right one. Yes, ma'am. The IA report, if that could be entered as the next exhibit.
Any objections, Mr. Benedetti?
No, Your Honor.
I'll accept the IA report as exhibit number 4.
Now, Deputy Chief Hatcher, you completed this report after multiple interviews with Mr. Benedetti, is that correct?
That's correct.
And viewing not just his dash cam, but the dash cam videos of multiple other officers.
That's correct.
Okay. So it's safe to say that this is the conclusion of your investigation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If you could tell, and we're going to watch the video in just a second, but if you could tell the commission how the incident started on March 2nd.
The origination was a call of a vehicle, which was a white, I believe a GMC or Chevy Silverado, with a vehicle parked in one of the turning lanes, getting ready to go onto the westbound on-ramp of Interstate 24 from Waldron Road, and the driver was slumped over at the wheel. So Officer Fesmeyer was getting off the interstate at that time and made the first encounter with that vehicle. He positions in front of that vehicle, but not at the point where he's actually made contact with it at this point. He does an outside inspection and sees the subject inside, sees paraphernalia and such in plain view, and then radios out that he doesn't have an impact tool and the vehicle was obviously locked and the person's in a position where he can't respond or isn't responding. At which time Officer Klein, Officer Dwyer were en route, and then Officer Benedetti also was en route, and then also Sergeant Stats was en route. not hearing that there were already people that were getting on scene. These officers were still coming at some emergency traffic speeds. Officer Benedetti, being the fourth vehicle in there, again, reached a speed of, I believe, 102 miles an hour when there were two other officers already on scene prior to his arrival. So the exigency of that was not, there was no sustaining of that. There was no reason for him to do that. Again, so in the process, then Officer Fesmeyer repositions his vehicle up against the suspect's car, pinning it so that he believes that the vehicle cannot move at that point. Officer Klein arrives and hands Officer Fesmeyer an impact tool. Officer Dwyer is exiting his vehicle and walking down the hill towards the suspect vehicle. Officer Benedetti arrives, exits his vehicle, and is seen walking next to Officer Fesmeyer's car, roughly about 3 to 4 feet in distance from, possibly a little closer. At which time he has a baton in his left hand, or I believe it was he had transitioned to his left. When the suspect is awakened by Officer Fesmeyer pounding on the window from the house that was given to him by Officer Klein. When the suspect startled, he wakes up, punches the gas, accelerates into Officer Fesmeyer's car, at which point you see Officer Benedetti step to the side as the vehicle is passing, turns sideways, faces the vehicle with his weapon drawn, and sidesteps with the vehicle down. And that's where his video, he gets off camera, and then I had to see it from a different angle, which was Officer Dwyer's video. And then again, that's how we got to that.
Okay, and so you did recover the video from Officer Benedetti's car.
Correct.
Okay, and at this time, if I could approach Ms. Cooper. Ms. Cooper, if you could bring up the video we discussed earlier.
John, trying to write what's on the video.
No.
Okay.
Now, Deputy Chief Hatcher, is this Officer Benedetti's dash cam video?
It is.
And if I may, Your Honor, at this point, I'd like to enter the video as the next exhibit.
Is that in the 10 cloud, Ms. Cooper?
It is, it's the only video on that 10 cloud. I'm not sure what the title is.
Okay. Any objections, Mr. Benedetti?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll accept the video as exhibit 5. Is that hold up behind me, Ms. Cooper?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you may go ahead.
Go ahead, let's play. Deputy Chief Dwyer, what are we, or Dwyer, I'm sorry, Hatcher, what are we looking at right now?
Right now, you're looking at the intersection of the Walden Road. Right there at the I-24 westbound on ramp, those are the turning lanes. And right there is Officer Fesmeyer's vehicle. Behind that semi is where Officer Klein's vehicle is, and in the lane adjacent to that is where Officer Dwyer pulls in.
And the emergency vehicle that has its back to us, whose car is that?
As it's back.
The vehicle there on the left, I'm sorry, it might be basic, I'm not sure. There's the semi, is there a car in between the semi and,
Yes, there's a car. That's the suspect or the target vehicle, which is the truck.
and did one of the officers take their car up nose to nose with the suspect vehicle?
Officer Fesmeyer's vehicle right there.
Okay.
And he's not there. At that point, he's already pinned it in because that was what came across the radio. I've got him pinned in, so he's not going anywhere. Officer Fesmeyer.
And who was that that just walked up, sir?
That's Officer Benedetti. Officer Dwyer.
Deputy Chief Hatcher, what are the voices that we're hearing there in the back?
Those are several of the other officers that are actually engaged in the pursuit. That was Sergeant Stats directly that was giving out the call of the speeds and the direction of travel.
Did you hear a voice just now make a statement, sir?
Yes, I
On the
did.
video, and whose voice was that?
The first voice was Officer Benedetti. The second voice was Officer Fesmer.
And what was Officer Benedetti's statement?
He wasn't sure if it was your mirror or his mirror that he hit you with, or something to that effect, I'm paraphrasing.
And was Officer Fessmeyer still there on the scene?
He was.
And was that who Officer Benedetti was speaking with?
It was.
Immediately after that statement, sir, what did Officer Fessmeyer do?
He broadcast on the radio that additional information or reason for chase was aggravated assault ×2. Aggravated assault on officers ×2.
You can hit the lights, please. Now, Officer or Chief Deputy Hatcher, immediately after this incident, were the officers involved instructed to write a supplement regarding these?
If they were, they would have been by their command staff or whoever was on the scene. So I was not present.
Okay, were reports written though that you were able to review?
Yes,
Okay, and were they, was Officer Benedetti one of the officers that did write a review
yes, he wrote
or a
supplement.
statement? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you have a chance to review that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. At this time. Going to hand you. Okay, you recognize this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And it has, the copy that you have has multiple officers on it, but if you could turn to the bottom of page 2,
Yes, ma'am.
is that where Officer Benedetti's statement starts?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And in his written statement that was given very close to the time of this incident, could you tell the commission what Mr. Benedetti said regarding the suspect's car? And how he possibly came to be injured?
Let's see, I'll let you go down to the end of line 3. I then positioned my vehicle to block the truck from the driver's side in an attempt to reduce the risk of oncoming traffic. Exited my vehicle and saw Officer Fesmer attempting to break the window into the vehicle. I then opened my baton and went to strike the driver's side window when I observed a male in the driver's seat look at me. The unknown male driver then accelerated into Officer Fesmer's patrol unit. I chased the vehicle on foot and drew my service pistol and gave commands to stop the vehicle. The driver then ignored my commands with my firearm pointed at him and pushed Officer Fesmer's vehicle into my person, striking me in the shoulder. Fesmer's vehicle then struck my patrol unit, disabling both vehicles. The unknown driver sped away. In the white truck, I remained with my vehicle unit. Crime scene technicians photographed it as evidence.
And Your Honor, at this point, I'd like to add the document labeled ZB narrative as the next exhibit.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bishop. I'll accept the document as exhibit number 6. And are they called, Ms. Cooper, have you labeled them the same thing for the commission members on their iPad?
I believe I did that. I just forwarded them as
Okay,
that. Yes, ma'am.
yes, feel free to look at those commission members as I've accepted them into evidence. The video must be much longer, Ms. Cooper, than what
It is, I think it's almost 90 minutes long.
it's still trying to download for me, so, but you may proceed.
Thank you.
I just wanted, are we gonna be watching any more than?
No, ma'am, not for me, no, ma'am. Now, at some point, Chief Deputy Hatcher, did you personally interview Mr. Benedetti about this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and was that, you had multiple interviews with him, did you not?
We had 2.
Was the first one on or about April 29th of 2021?
I believe so.
And who else was present during that interview?
Lieutenant Durham,
And is he here today?
he is.
Okay. And why did you want to interview Mr. Benedetti?
To understand the situation from beginning to end and to get an explanation for the allegations that were on the video and what also he alleged in his written supplement.
So in his written supplement, as the commission just heard, he said that he was hit by the suspect's car mirror or truck mirror.
That's correct.
And you can see in the video that that was not the case.
That's correct.
So when you spoke to Mr. Benedetti there on April 29th of 2021, you had his supplemental report that you just read with you, correct? You had already reviewed that and knew the contents of it.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And I'm going to hand you document. You can tell me if you recognize that, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
The first page is our Garrity warning. And the additional pages are the transcript from our first internal affairs interview, April 29th, 2021.
And did you review the Garrity with Mr. Benedetti?
I believe it
Okay, that is his signature there on the bottom of the first page, correct?
it is.
Have you had a chance to review the transcript of that interview, sir?
Not recently, but yes, I've had reviewed it.
Okay. I want to take you, if I could, to page 3 of the transcript. If you could look towards the top there, you should have a long paragraph of Mr. Benedetti's statement.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Make sure we're on the same page, I'm sorry.
That's page 2.
My page 3, I'm sorry. So
Okay.
be your page 2.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Benedetti makes a statement there about how he got into the pursuit, as he put it, and what happened and why he was running emergency traffic. What did he tell you about why he was running emergency traffic?
It was shortly after, as he states here, and I'm gonna read it verbatim, I guess, but shortly after, I mean, it was within minutes, I think Officer Besmeyer put it out over the radio, paraphernalia in plain view, this looks like a drug overdose. At that point, in my mind, I said, this is an emergency, response. We have somebody who may be overdosing or having a medical issue in the middle of the roadway. So I turned on my emergency equipment and responded. I think for some reason, I went towards International and turned onto Walton Road from there.
You can turn to the next page, page 3. When asked about how he was injured and what exactly happened and what clipped him, what did Mr. Benedetti say to you in that April 29th interview? Take you about 6 lines down. Does he mention Besmeyer's car?
Yes, ma'am.
And what does he say?
I exited my car. I think I opened my asp with right, and I opened my asp. I saw his truck going forward, pushing Besmeyer's car. Besmeyer's mirror clips me. And then I pulled my gun out and started screaming at him. Stop the truck, stop the truck. At that point, I'm like, oh, I'm in danger. And then he hit my car, took off. And I was like, okay, he's gone. So all we need to do is just stand here and wait. And then I think I called out I heard someone get on the radio. I don't exactly know who it was, asking for the description, at which point he gives out the description again.
At some point, does Mr. Benedetti say that he tried to notify the rest of the officers that this mirror had clipped him, that indeed the suspect had hit him?
Without reviewing any of this, I can't recall if that was something else.
Okay. You mentioned the asp. Did Mr. Benedetti say anything about transferring the asp from one hand to the other?
I honestly, without reviewing the notes, I'm not going to give you a firm statement.
But he did confirm with you during that interview that he had hurt his shoulder. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I want to take you to page 4.
Your page 4 of mine.
It would be your page 4.
Okay.
And if I may direct you to this line here.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Benedetti indicated to you that he had talked to at least one other senior officer about the incident that had happened and how he'd gotten hurt, and who was that?
Lieutenant Cole.
And what did Mr. Benedetti tell you he relayed to Lieutenant Cole?
He told him, and again, I'm gonna read verbatim, I told him my shoulder was sore, I felt a pop, and he said, you need to go to the hospital. I said, no, I don't think I need to go to the hospital yet, you know. I'd like to stay and work. If I need to, we're short and everybody's tied up on call.
And the interview goes on for a little while. At any point, does Mr. Benedetti during this interview change his story about how he may have gotten hurt on the shoulder?
I believe so. There was a couple of different conversations as it relates, and I don't know if it was at that point when we played the video again to reflect back. It's been a long time since the actual initiation of this, so you have to bear with me.
I want to direct you to page 6. And at some point, he talks about having a pop in his shoulder. You recall that conversation?
Yes,
And if you could. Yes, sir. Can you tell the commission what he told you about this pop in his shoulder?
he indicates here it's like an immediate pressure, like a deep pressure pop in my shoulder. And I asked him, so where and when did you feel that? And he states, I'd say right after I extended my asp and the car started moving.
So that is different from his shoulder getting hurt from when the car supposedly is pushed into him, correct?
Yes, sir.
In the video that we watched a moment ago, he has his asp out as soon as he comes around the corner, does he not, from his car?
As he exits the vehicle, as he's walking up, yes, ma'am.
So in the course of one interview, he's gone from the car hit me to, I felt a pop, as he puts it, with the asp.
Right.
And Chief Deputy Hatcher, at some point, Mr. Benedetti says something about a bad memory, or that he has a bad memory. If I could take you to page 10. At the top of page 10. What does he tell you about his bad memory and why he may not remember things?
As it states here, he says basically the car accident that I just came back from, because there was a car accident that he was involved in between this pursuit issue and then also before this actual first internal affairs interview. And he states that it says, car accident I just came back from has scrambled my memory, my mind, and I had a hard time remembering events from that, so I really don't recall, sir. I'm sorry.
Then you had a reason to interview Mr. Benedetti again, is that correct?
That's right.
June?
Yes.
Before we move on to that, if I could at this point, enter the transcript of the April 29th, 2021 interview as the next exhibit.
Is it called?
April 29 interview of ZB.
See that now. I'll accept that transcript as exhibit number 7.
Your Honor, I must object.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry.
On
Mr.
that, yeah,
Benedetti,
you're fine.
you first. Go ahead, Mr. Benedetti.
If you see in my folder of the uploaded evidence, I believe it's titled post evidence. You will see 3 different doctor's notes. This is not my personal care physician. This is a doctor licensed through the HR department, through the Laverne Police Department. Following the conclusion of the April 19th interview, it was determined that I was diagnosed with cognitive impairment and memory loss. I was then sent to a neurologist. I would like to motion to impeach the April IA interview due to medical diagnosis.
So. Oh, Ms. Cooper, would you like to respond?
Your Honor, I don't believe that goes to any grounds to object to the entry of the transcript of the April 29th interview. If Mr. Benedetti would like to get into his own proof at a later time, which is basically what he's doing now, that would be fine, but it's not a ground to, keep out that transcript.
I'm going to overrule your objection, Mr. Benedetti. Ms. Cooper correctly states you'll have the opportunity to submit those documents into evidence for the commission members to consider, and you may tell them about those documents if you wish to testify.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the April 29th interview of Mr. Benedetti will be exhibit number 7.
Based on Mr. Benedetti's statements during the interview on April 29th, where he said he was having bad recall issues, did you begin a conversation with him about exactly what his injuries from the later car accident may have been and why that would be important to you now as a commander in that department?
I believe so.
Okay, can you tell the commission about why you talked to him about his recall and his cognitive issues?
Well, obviously, the concern is that at any time with him having these kind of issues and being out on the street, working on any specific kind of case, mostly even a traffic stop, all the way up to anything where there's investigative issues that come through. He was basically telling me he's not in the right frame of mind. So it was my opinion that we probably need to put him on administrative leave until he gets medically cleared.
And did that happen?
Yes.
Prior to this April 29th interview where he starts talking about his bad memory, did you or anyone in the department know that there were, they should have been concerned about his ability, his cognitive ability or his ability to recall things?
I can't say that I know of anybody that knew.
That surprised you to hear that then, Mr. Benedetti?
Yes.
All right. After the April 29th interview, you interviewed him again?
Yes.
On June 15th of 2021. Why did you conduct a follow-up interview, sir?
To go back over things and to reconfirm or to see if there was any other information that he had to provide. Just based on the fact that there was a time lapse between when we could talk after he was put on administrative leave. Make sure that he was completely clear so that he had a clear mind, time to think about it.
Okay, and so, can I hand you a document? You recognize that document, sir?
I do.
And excuse me, if you could tell me what the first page is,
This is a second guarantee warning that we issued to Mr. Benedetti.
okay? And did he acknowledge that he understood it?
He did,
And did he sign there at the bottom?
he did.
And the rest of the document, is that a transcript of that interview?
It is.
Now, in the June 15th of 2021 interview, you discussed with him again the excessive speeds that he was driving at and reasons why he probably shouldn't have been doing that. Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay, if you could go to page 3. And it starts with, I was driving my vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you tell him how fast he'd been going during the initial response?
I believe that we went over that was the video was showing.
And was it in excess of 100 miles an hour?
It was,
Okay. Did you discuss with him why that would be a problem?
I believe I did.
Tell the commission about the transcript and what you all talked about.
I believe we were watching the video and he started to explain where he was coming from. And so I respond to him. So let's go back to the beginning, watching the video. All right, so that's you coming out of the Connor parking lot. Of course, your mic won't activate until your siren lights and siren go on. If you notice, I'm not sure if you're able to hear that. And he said, I did not, sir, I'm sorry. I said, that was Fazmeyer talking, and he says, if I can get the air, I'll get a 47 Oscar, which is for us an overdose, a medical overdose. So his initial response on the radio was not that it was 47 Oscar. And he said, I didn't hear his initial response. But yet you knew that you needed to get there because it was a medical emergency.
Okay. And if I can direct you to page 5 of that transcript, you get into again with Mr. Benedetti what happened and how he supposedly was injured. If you could look at down to where it starts with I get caught. Did you ask him again, Chief Deputy Hatcher, how he was injured?
I believe I did.
Okay, and what was his response in the June interview?
After reviewing the video, he was quite taken back that what his belief was in his mind was that something had actually occurred. And in his statement here, I get caught in between my car and Officer Fesmire's car, and I'm pretty sure I didn't see Officer Fesmire's car, and I ran into it with my right side. And then I came around and I saw him there, and I was like, I'm not gonna use the explicit, holy crap. I'm glad you're okay. And then I thought Clyde and Dwyer got on the radio and said, what's the vehicle description, in which case he responded back to it.
So now he's telling you that he got hurt on his shoulder because he ran into Fesmire's car.
Again, that was his impression, yes.
Okay, and this is after watching the video that the commission just saw. His own car.
Either that one or from Officer Dwyer's.
Did he have any other injuries he talked with you about that day?
I believe he stated that he had some issue with some pressure in his back and one of his knees.
Okay. But to be clear, it was his right shoulder that he said that he had run into the car with, as opposed to the car hitting him.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, if I may, you were here when this matter was presented to the informal committee for discipline, correct?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
And you heard Mr. Benedette speak to the commission on that day.
I did.
And did you, as a result of what Mr. Benedette said to the commission on that day, have a transcript created of the informal committee testimony?
I did.
A lot of piles here, Judge, if I can have just a second to find what I'm looking for.
Hold on a second.
Sorry about that.
Ms. Cooper, hold on, we're having some issues.
Oh, okay.
The June 15th interview of the record yet.
We're not there yet. But Steve, hold on, Ms. Steve, are you set up, Ms. Steve?
I think so. That was just Liz.
And before I move on to the informal commission testimony, Chief Deputy Hatcher, is that an accurate transcript of the interview as you recall it? The June 15th interview?
Yes.
Okay. And at this time, Your Honor, I'd like that to be entered in as the next exhibit. It is labeled June 15 interview of ZB.
Any objections, Mr. Benedetti? I'll accept the document as exhibit number 8. Commission members, you may now look at that document.
Now, we were discussing the informal commission meeting and testimony by Mr. Benedetti or statements by him at that meeting. That struck you as important, and why was that?
His statements to the commission were completely different from both interviews as to how he injured himself and as it alleges to some of the reasons that he was let go.
Okay. And I'm going to hand you a document. If you can tell me if you recognize that document.
I do.
And what is that?
This is a transcript of the post-commission informal hearing from July 15th, 2022.
I want to direct you to, let's see, third to the last page. You recall, sir, that at during that commission hearing that some of the commission members had questions for Mr. Benedetti.
So
And in particular, Chief Faulkner asked Mr. Benedetti how he was injured, is that correct?
I believe so.
And if you could start with, Faulkner and her statement. And if you could read that to the commission, please.
Says this is Faulkner. I was just asked in the memorandum to you from Chief Davis. It states that you were the fourth officer on the scene and that you had indicated on the radio that you had been struck by the suspect mirror. Did you get injured during all of this?
And what was Mr. Benedetti's response?
His response is, this is kind of embarrassing. I had actually injured myself, getting out of my car, very minor. I mean, I went to the hospital and they told me I had like a shoulder contusion, but I think that's because I hit myself with my ass. Like I said, very embarrassing.
And what was Chief Faulkner's response?
You hit yourself with your ass baton.
Okay. And then he confirms again, sir, does he not, that yes, as he was getting out of the car, he hurt himself?
Yes, ma'am.
And then if you could go down to the next statement by Chief Faulkner, when she asked him about putting that information about an injury out on the radio.
Yes, ma'am.
And what does Mr. Benedetti respond?
I truly don't recall that. After speaking with Officer Krasmeyer, he stated that he was the one that got on the radio and stated it. Following that, I got on the radio and stated that the vehicle description and the driver's description and his direction of travel.
All right, and if I could have that transcript entered as the next exhibit.
Any objections, Mr. Benedetti?
No, Your Honor.
The transcript of the informal hearing will be exhibit number 9.
Yes, ma'am. But when you appeared at the informal commission, Chief Deputy Hatcher, Mr. Benedetti had already been released from Laverne Police Department, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to take you back, if I could, to your original exhibit that I said in document I started you with, your memo that you completed after your investigation of this incident.
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your recommendation to your chain of command regarding Mr. Benedetti?
May I read it verbatim?
Yes, sir, if you'd like to.
In reviewing all of the facts as they have been presented, the allegations of truthfulness, General Order 300.01, Rule 12, truthfulness as sustained. Under General Order 405 or 400.05 with regards to the exigency to continue emergency traffic to bring a baton to break a window when other uniformed officers had already arrived on scene is unnecessary, and this too is sustained.
All right, I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Benedetti, this is your opportunity to ask questions of Deputy Chief Hatcher if you have any. This is not your opportunity to argue with him or present opposite testimony. And so, not to be oversimplistic, but you literally ask the question, stop talking, allow him to answer, ask another question. Okay?
Where would you like to stand?
Wherever you would like. So if you want to stand behind, Ms. Cooper's the woman directly in front of you in the computer. Stand sort of over that way. So that way you can see.
This way.
Her mic on at the bigger.
Stand
Is
over
that
here.
mic on?
We can just stand face to face.
Well, as long, the court reporter needs to be able to hear you.
Okay.
And the court reporter needs to be able to hear Deputy Hatcher. And so that's the most, it's not the most important thing, but it's very important. So, all right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Benedetti.
Yes. I only have one question for Deputy Chief Hatcher. Is it possible that debris from the original traffic collision could have come off both vehicles or all 3 vehicles? And why wasn't that mentioned in the IA report?
Well, because I was not on scene, so everything that I did was reviewed by video. To say what was at the scene at the time of the event would have been whoever was on scene to be able to describe it, crime scene photographs, et cetera, et cetera. So other than that, I can't give you an answer.
May I respond?
Well, you may ask him another question.
Okay.
That you can't reply with your own testimony.
I will wait then.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. No
Thank
further
you.
questions.
Any redirect?
No, ma'am.
All right, commission members, as you know, you have the opportunity to ask questions of the witness. Please limit your questions to the testimony, the scope of the testimony that's already been discussed.
Commissioner Russell, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just got one question. Who makes the decision for termination?
Recommendations are sent to the mayor of the city.
And am I good to go? And the mayor makes the decision if an officer is to be terminated?
That's correct.
And who makes the decision to decertify officer?
Chief of police.
Could you describe the disciplinary process for the police department?
As it relates to what kind of an incident, sir?
I guess from everything from what would constitute a verbal warning all the way through termination.
It goes on several different, it's a case by case basis. Obviously, the egregiousness, whatever the actions are. And it's usually the findings are sent forward, and if it merits that much punishment, then that's what we do.
And is that written in general orders?
I believe it is.
And do we have a copy of the general order that lays out the disciplinary process for the police department in the record?
No, ma'am. Or no, sir.
That's all I have.
No cherries.
Something coming.
And yes, please identify yourselves on the record for the court reporter. please.
This is Commissioner Cherry. Deputy Chief Hatcher, just to be clear exactly what bottom line is on this whole incident. As I'm understanding this, there are basically two issues with the performance of Officer Benedetti during this time. First of all, that he traveled far in excess of what was necessary in this vehicle to get there and posed an undue danger by his actions getting to the scene. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In viewing the video, did you see any specific point where there was an undue danger? I mean, I know he was traveling fast, and by virtue of the speed, that would, I think, be considered dangerous. But as far as getting too close or noting any specific people who were in danger during that pursuit, was there something that jumped out at you? Or I'm just trying to understand kind of where we're going with that.
The best way that I can explain that is necessity and the due regard or the due care for the general public around you. And the necessity to drive at those speeds for what that officer deemed as a necessary situation was seen in our eyes as not necessary. And it was exigent. There was no reason.
Well, he was obviously going fast. I didn't see any point where he got very close to the vehicle where there was something that was specifically a danger, but just by virtue of him going very fast, that's a danger we're talking about. Is that?
Well, in retrospect, it's the being able to outdrive your vehicle or being able to control it. He was fortunate enough to be able to control it, but it's still in 2 or 3 different general congested areas. It just wasn't necessary for the other officers being there. Yes.
Okay. At one point, I think you said that there was an allegation of ag assault ×2.
Yes.
Now, one of them would have been him allegedly being struck by the truck coming out, hitting him with the rearview mirror. Where would the other ag assault be?
The officer that was breaking the window wrote in his report that he was in fear of being either run over or that there was a possibility of an alertive or elusive action that would have caused him to be in fear.
Okay. By not being struck by the rearview mirror, the car came out and came past him.
Yes.
Would he still have been a second ag assault?
Honestly, it would have been a third because Officer Klein was actually at the car when it got away.
Okay.
Now, in the position of where he's standing, could he say that he's in relative fear at that point of the vehicle? Sure, he can say that. The vehicle's veering to the right, he's stepping to the left. So in the probability of it, he was already, the vehicle was past him before the element of danger, other than just the sheer impact and the shock and awe.
Right. On the video, it appeared to me that what I saw, and you can tell me your perspective, you saw other videos that went around this, but it appeared that the white GMC or whatever it was actually was just pushing the police vehicle back.
That's
and-
correct.
And they didn't see it veer out until they were off screen, and I guess it had to come out and around. Is that?
It's going, as it's striking that vehicle, they're doing this.
Okay,
So because Besmeyer's vehicle backs into Benedetti's car. And the suspect takes the lane of least resistance and goes to the right.
okay. So he didn't come over on the side where Benedetti was. He went to the other side
Yes.
to get around. Okay. Okay. As far as you know, was there any examination done on Benedetti afterwards to examine his shoulder, see if there was any evidence of injury?
I believe he went to the hospital 4 or 5 hours later.
Did they indicate that there was any bruising?
I don't have that paperwork, sir, because that's HIPAA.
And that could have been from his ass, or it could have been from something else, or it could have been nothing at all. And that's a concern we have, right? Is that he
Well, of course,
falsified his report by saying that he was injured.
that's correct.
Do you have any idea, and this is calling for a little bit of speculation on your part perhaps, and this probably wouldn't happen in court, but I'm just curious. Do you have any idea why he would have lied about something like that? What benefit it would have been to him or to anybody else?
None whatsoever, sir.
Is it conceivable that he just, in all the confusion, that he just thought something happened that didn't happen? I mean, is that conceivable?
Anything's conceivable.
In your experience, I mean, you've been in the police community for a career, so I'm sure you've seen a lot of.
Yes.
A lot of people deal with different things. Post-traumatic stress disorder happens in incidents where people see things happen or things happen to them. Have you ever seen anything like that? Your past experience where people just remember something that didn't happen?
I'm sure that I have, and it would be unfair to say that I hadn't, but to be able to recall anything, it would be unfair for me to say.
In your experience with Officer Benedetti, have you seen any other kind of deception or any kind of self-serving statements that he's made that would have suggested that this is a pattern, that he intentionally lied to the department?
Again, I can't say that I know for sure, because to me, no.
What was his performance prior to this incident?
He was a standard officer. He did his job and didn't get complained on very much. So other than that, that's about all I can say.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Question. Commissioner Green.
And you may have to stop me if I get beyond the testimony, but in the I think transcript, it talked about there was a pursuit.
Yes, sir.
Would that pursuit have continued for the length it did, at the speeds it did, if it not been radio traffic about aggravated assault?
Again, that would be an assumption on my part to say. I would hope that it wouldn't, but I could not say one way or the other because I wasn't involved in it. So.
Was the individual that was being chased charged with aggravated assault?
No, sir. He died at the scene, at the termination of it.
Commissioner Carter.
Commissioner Carter, Deputy Chief Hatcher, I just viewed the video. Could you tell us the exact speed that Officer Benedetti was doing? He was en route to this incident.
Top speed was 102 miles per hour.
102,
Yes.
and is said that the suspect died. Was it because of a crash?
As a result, when he crashed into a civilian vehicle, and when he attempted to elude, he ran into another police car,
Okay,
and we got pinned under the car.
thank you.
Commissioner Wright, directly.
Commissioner Wright. On the video that we watched, is it possible that the injury that he's stating happened off camera from the video that we particularly watched?
That was something that we looked into, and the reason that I had stated that Officer Dwyer's video shows a different perspective, long distance, but as the course goes through it, again, looking at it at quarter speed, half speed, full speed, several times, backing it up, freeze framing it, everything. The position of Officer Benedetti in relation to the suspect vehicle, there was no correlation. He ended up sidestepping in between the two patrol cars. So there was no engagement with the suspect.
And the two patrol cars you said were coming together because patrol cars is what collided into each other.
If you may, or if I may. The Besmeyer's car struck Benedetti and then they separated. Suspect vehicle is on the right and it's going down Walden Road, heading northbound.
And we could not see Officer Bendetti during that portion of the two patrol cars colliding, could we?
Well, on Officer Myers, you could, but again, you're gonna have to make sure that you're paying really close attention.
Commissioner Wagner. Commissioner Russell.
Thank you. I may have missed it, but is his termination paperwork in our viewing? Right here on the iPad. Look at that. Can you talk about how you terminated an employee? Or they presented any kind of paperwork?
That goes outside of my scope, sir.
So the mayor terminates the employee. Do you all make the recommendation to the mayor? Or
Yes,
what do you
chief.
send the mayor, I guess?
They get a memorandum from the chief of police and the request.
And is that memorandum in our paperwork?
I can tell you, it hasn't been accepted into evidence. If it's on your iPad, you can't look at it.
I don't even sit on the iPad, so I'm trying to figure out if we can see what the. And are we gonna hear from the chief in a few minutes?
Yes, sir.
And are we gonna hear from the mayor?
Yes, sir.
Is there an appeal process for termination with the department?
I'm not aware of it, sir. Again, it goes higher than me.
That's all the question of.
Commissioner Wagner.
Deputy Chief Hatcher, let's go back to this, SALT ×2.
Yes, sir.
SALT 1 is what Officer Bendetti claims.
Yes, sir.
Where's the second assault? Fazmeyer went around his vehicle, right?
Yes, he did.
And the guy hit Fazmeyer, his vehicle.
Besmeyer's is the first vehicle that struck, yes.
Nobody in it.
That's correct.
But where did the second
Officer-
assault when Fazmeyer says, doesn't matter, it's ×2.
Correct. He put himself in that second position based on the proximity of him to the vehicle as it accelerated and left the scene. That was the allegation.
And would it be true that if Fazmeyer's, he didn't call it first, Benedetti did,
In reference to which part, sir?
the assault? When Benedetti kicked it up as a personal assault versus,
Correct. When he said he struck me with his mirror.
is there a difference between the two assaults? In other words, suspect hits the car and the other officer, Fazmeyer, standing beside it
Well, Officer Fesmeyer was standing next to the truck.
with the truck.
Yes, sir.
But he's not in front of the truck,
That's correct.
so
And again-
he's not in any danger.
Well, in his perception, sir, and what he wrote in his report, he was.
But when Bendetti took it personal by saying he was struck by the mirror, does that not kick it up a notch?
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
Commissioner Russell.
So I hope this is my last question, but is counseling considered disciplinary action to the police department?
I don't say that it's discipline. It depends on what format. If you get a written reprimand, that's gonna be discipline. A verbal counseling is not deemed as discipline. That's in hopes for corrected behavior as far as the first line to prevent something from happening in the future.
On March the 23rd, 2021, the command staff instructed you to counsel all of the patrol officers involved. Was Officer Bendetti counseled?
Not for that, no. If I may continue just one second, just to continue on that.
That's up to your,
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll wait and we'll see if she has any questions about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Parton, I've got a couple of questions for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So going back to the video and, what was opened in, discovery there and what's been submitted into evidence and your testimony, you testified that there was a sergeant that pursued the suspect in an oncoming lane on 41 and 70 at a high rate of speed.
Correct.
Was there any disciplinary action taken by policy or by District Attorney General's office against that officer?
Nothing from the DA's office. He was suspended for a day.
And
General order violations.
general order violations.
Correct.
Did he file a report?
I believe his is in addition to everybody else's as being involved in.
Okay, was he one of the responding officers that was at the scene? I saw on video that there was two vehicles that were parked facing said officer's vehicle that took off in the chase in the video. Who were those officers?
Officer Klein and Officer Dwyer,
Okay, and how far did they pursue the vehicle?
till the end.
To the end?
Yes.
Do you know what kind of speeds they got up to?
Yes, sir. They accelerated over 100 miles an hour as well.
In the same traffic that the officer was coming, responded to the initial call in?
No, they were on Waldron Road and they were getting up to Sergeant Stats. So Sergeant Stats was at 80 miles an hour while he was surrounding the city.
Is it your opinion on that day, you give testimony that the officer that's here today for disciplinary actions responded at a high rate of speed to a call in which there's been testimony saying that it was in his belief he thought somebody might have been having a drug overdose. The same traffic we would assume that was in the video is the same traffic in which the suspect took off in after he pushed two of your vehicles and crashed them down to Murfreesboro Road. Is it okay for us to assume that same amount of traffic was going on at that time period of day that when these other officers began chase of the suspect's vehicle?
You could say that, yes, sir.
And how was that looked at by your department?
Frowned upon, sir.
Was there disciplinary action taken for those officers?
They were counseled. This was their first event of such sort.
Was this the first or is this not the first event for the officer that's here today?
Under that, yes, sir.
Okay. And you said that the suspect died at the scene.
That is correct.
Was that in Davidson County or Rutherford County?
Davidson County, sir.
Davidson County, and he was hit by another officer?
You ran into the side of the patrol car and got pinned by the tire.
Was that one of yours or another agency?
One of ours.
And was that one of the officers that responded from the wreck scene?
No, sir.
Was another oncoming officer?
Yes, sir. There were several that heard this call go out, started to respond down Murfreesboro Road.
So has this whole case been reviewed by the District Attorney General of the 16th Judicial District?
You'd have to ask Lieutenant Durham. I don't have any dealings with.
Was any of your investigation turned over to the District Attorney General?
If it was not through me.
Who worked the actual fatality at the end of the scene?
Tennessee Highway Patrol.
Was any of their investigation turned over to your department or to the District Attorney General's office?
I can assume so, sir, but I couldn't tell you with certainty because again, I only did this.
That's all the questions I have. Any other questions by the commissioners?
Ms. Cooper, thank you. Ms. Cooper, any redirect of your witness?
Yes. Deputy Chief Hatcher, you've been asked about the supplements that were provided by some other officers, specifically Sergeant Stats, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm gonna hand you. Can you tell me if you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
These are the supplemental reports from the officers involved.
And again, it's your understanding that they were completed soon after the incident itself, correct?
That's my understanding, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm going to direct you to page 2 of that document. Can you tell me whose narrative that is?
This would be Sergeant Eric Stats.
And as a result of his actions that day, he was disciplined.
Yes, he was.
Okay. And have you had a chance to review that narrative?
Just not looking at it. It's been quite a while since I've seen the entire file.
Sergeant Stats still with your department, sir?
He is.
And is, sorry, you already said that you did recognize the document. So at this point, Your Honor, if I could, I'd like to enter what's labeled Dwyer Stats Wilson narratives into evidence as the next exhibit.
I'm sorry, what is it called again, Ms. Cooper?
I have it labeled as Dwyer Stats, well, yeah, it should be at the top.
Okay, well, in mine at the bottom, but
Okay.
any objections, Mr. Benedetti?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll accept the Dwyer Stats Wilson narrative redacted as exhibit number 10.
With Sergeant Stats and Officer Benedetti, the only officers that were formally disciplined as a result of the incidents of that day.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Mr. Benedetti, do you have any questions based on either any of the commissioner's questions or Ms. Cooper's questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Deputy Chief Hatcher, you stated that Sergeant Stats and I were the only two officers to be formally disciplined. Also, in your statements, you said the counseling was not discipline, yet you just referred to another officer being counseled as his form of discipline. Is counseling a form of discipline or not?
Well, in purview of that, yes, it is.
So it is in fact disciplinary action.
Yes.
And it is in general orders. It is. I think you are correct. Also, why was the striking officer allowed to continue into a pursuit when there was numerous marked vehicles already involved in this pursuit and he was in an unmarked vehicle? In Laverne general orders and pursuit policy, someone driving an unmarked vehicle, whether it is command staff, cannot get into a pursuit after there are more than two marked vehicles. And if they do, they're supposed to be in a secondary position.
Right.
Why was Detective Krotz in this pursuit and ultimately struck and killed the defendant that led to this review?
Again, you're asking me a question that I can't answer because I wasn't involved. I was involved in the investigation after the fact.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Ms. Cooper, any redirect?
No, ma'am.
Commissioners, any questions based on those questions from both parties?
Yes, I have a follow-up. Chairman Parton again. Thank you for your patience today, Chief Hatcher. So were any of these other mentioned officers that have been testified to submitted for decertification based off their actions of the events of that day?
No, sir.
Thank you. It's all a question. Chief Green or Commissioner Green.
It's not a long time. Chief, the reason for the decertification request doesn't involve speed, it involves the honesty issue today.
Yes, sir.
That's what we're ruling on.
That's correct.
Just want to be clear.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the board? Not expecting judge.
Thank you. Any redirect, Ms. Cooper, based on that? Mr. Benedetti, any last questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Right. Thank you so much. Deputy Chief, you're free to step down.
Yes, ma'am.
Your next witness, Ms. Cooper.
Yes. I'd like to call Chief Davis, please.
So raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you?
I do.
Put your name in the ring.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Chief Burrell, B-U-R-R-E-L Davis II.
And what is your position with the police department here, sir?
I'm chief of police now. At the time of this incident, I was interim chief.
We're interim chief?
Yes,
Okay. And how long have you been with the department?
I've been with the department since August 2003.
And you've heard Chief Deputy Hatcher's testimony about the events of March 2nd, 2021, correct?
Yes,
As a result of that incident, did you ask Chief Hatcher to do an investigation into the actions of your officers that day?
I did.
as a result of that investigation, what did Chief Hatcher, did he have a discussion with you? How did that, what did he forward to you as a result of that
At
investigation?
the conclusion of his investigation, he sent me the synopsis of the investigation as well as the findings of his investigation as I believe, if I'm not mistaken, videos as well for that investigation.
Okay. Did you review those videos as well, sir?
I did.
And did you review, when you said he forwarded you the findings of the investigation? Then I hand you a memo that's previously been entered into evidence as an exhibit. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
And what is that?
This is the synopsis of the internal investigation, Deputy Chief Patrick, Lieutenant Patrick.
You've heard that the commissioners have some questions about the disciplinary process in your department. Chief Davis, can you tell them how discipline is decided on and just how it goes through the department essentially?
Well, the department has a matrix as far as the disciplinary concern. It could go from a minor infraction to, of course, termination. And in this event, it was determined that the egregiousness of it, that we wanted on the more severe end of the matrix versus the more minor end.
Okay. As a result of the investigation, is it correct that Mr. Benedetti was 2 allegations were sustained of violations of general orders?
Correct.
And what were the general orders that were violated?
So 300.01, which is our rules and regulations of the police department. The actual rule is truthfulness would be one of the allegations, and the other one would be, I will have to look on here, 400.05. If I'm not mistaken, that's our pursuit policy, violation of pursuit policy.
And Sergeant Stats, was he also found the allegations sustained against him for the vehicle operation violation of general order?
Yes, he has some traffic infractions, things like that. That was dealt with.
Okay. And what disciplinary action, if any, was taken against Sergeant Stats?
He was suspended. I believe he said a day, but I can't remember.
Okay. Who made that decision ultimately to suspend him for a day?
I did.
And whose decision is it whether or not an officer should be terminated for violations of general order?
I make the decision to a certain extent, but the way our city charter is written, the mayor has all the hire, firing, and promotion power. So basically, the department heads will recommend to the mayor for termination or whatever the case may be, demotion or whatever, and then he ultimately has a decision to hire, fire, promote, things like that.
And based on the results of the investigation regarding the respondent here, did you make a recommendation of termination?
I did.
Okay, can you tell the commission why you did that?
Based on it wasn't the pursuit policy that did it, was the truthfulness for me that I made a determination to terminate.
And why is that, sir?
Truthfulness in my career, you're not credible as far as an officer is concerned. Also, you fall out of the pre-employment guidelines that it takes you to be this officer.
The pre-employment guidelines of
Being a good moral character.
Okay, so you
Being truthful.
You felt like it was a violation not just of your general orders, but also what you perceived to be the requirements of the post commission for pre-employment qualifying.
Absolutely.
Now, Chief, have you heard from Mr. Benedetti since this incident?
I have.
And tell the commission about that, please.
It was through email. He sent me an email in regards, and this is just off the top of my head, that he was wanting to get out of police and he just wanted bygones to be bygones. If we can just drop all of this. And I did respond, but my response was basically the definition of a Brady officer. I left it at that.
I'm going to hand you a document. Do you tell me if you recognize that, sir?
Yes.
And what is that, sir?
This is email communications between myself and Benedetti.
Okay. And is that the email you just described where you, his statement about truthfulness and can we let bygones be bygones, and your response was a Brady article?
Yes, I just sent the link to the Brady.
Okay. And Your Honor, at this point, I'd ask that email labeled respondent email to Chief Davis, September 12th. be entered as the next exhibit.
Mr. Benedetti, any objections?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, what's your objection, please?
This email was sent in good faith, just out of mere communication with Chief Davis. There was no prior reading of rights or warnings that this would be used against me in this hearing. I'm kind of confused as to why the state found this to be acceptable to bring forward when it's just mere correspondence. There was no admittance of guilt in this email. I even started by stating, I hope you're in good health to the chief. This is a mere form of communication.
Ms. Cooper,
None of that goes to the grounds for admissibility.
you're welcome to question the chief regarding the document, but I don't see a reason why it can't be admissible as evidence. I'll accept the document as exhibit 11 over the objections of the respondent.
Chief Davis, you did make the recommendation to terminate the respondent for disciplinary reasons. Is that correct?
Correct,
And was he terminated for disciplinary?
he was,
And was that on October 1st, 2020?
not looking at it, but I believe so.
And did you send a request into the post commission to have him decertified?
I did, but prior to that, I did have this case sent to the Attorney General of Rutherford County, James Jones. And he reviewed the case and he did deem Benedetti as a brave officer. He would have it on his spreadsheet.
That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Benedetti, any questions for Chief Davis?
May I have a moment? Thank you. Chief Davis, how are you, sir? Is it true that there was a law firm attached to this internal affairs investigation seeking retribution for what had happened to the defendant?
No, well, the family, to my knowledge, the family did do an open records request for the video, but from that point, we've heard nothing else from anybody in regards to this. If I would say anything, the statute of limitations have run out in this case, but nothing else has been done, no lawsuits or anything.
There's a reasoning behind ordering the pursuit review simply because of the fact that the defendant had passed away and Morgan & Morgan had been hired by his family to seek litigation against the department.
No, we strive to do suit reviews. That's something that, once I became interim chief and chief, to try to review all pursuits. And it wasn't because of that, because all of that part of it was in Davidson County. So that's another separate case in my opinion.
So you didn't need someone to fire to appease the attorneys?
So when,
You didn't need someone to fire to appease the attorneys and reach a settlement?
no, all of this was done even before, even the open records request was done. So all of this was, may have ordered it the next day or thereafter.
And lastly, do you recall about 2 weeks before I was terminated, you and I met in your office at the Laverne Police Department with Lieutenant Goins and my Sergeant Bob Hayes to discuss mental health issues such as post-traumatic stress, in which I had been asked, or which I had asked multiple times, if I could go to the EAP program, the Employee Assistance Program, to seek out help for recall issues, for anxiety, for post-traumatic stress. Do you recall that?
I do recall that, and I do understand saying that that's not something we could order you to do. The Employee Assistance Program is strictly voluntarily for you to go if you felt like that was something that you needed to do because it's medical related, that you had to do that on your own.
However, you've placed me on administrative leave before, but you wouldn't do it then, even with my acknowledgement of mental health issues. Rather, you put me on first shift in more of an administrative role and then terminated me 2 weeks later. Is that correct?
So again, dealing with medical, that's something that's beyond my purview. That's something you have to deal with HR because it's medical related. And if they make the recommendation that this officer needs to go on admin leave or whatever the case may be for whatever disability or impairment or whatever it is at the time, that's something that comes to me from them. The only thing I can do is, make a recommendation that another psychological or something like that be taking place upon return. But on the front end of it, that's strictly voluntary to you because you came to me in good faith to ask that. So I can't tell you to go to EAP. That's something that's there for the employee at 24 hours, 7 days a week for them to do.
Lieutenant Hatcher, he's not the chief at the time, or he's not deputy chief at the time. He's the lieutenant, correct?
Correct.
He placed me on administrative leave for far less, for only one thing, or for only one health issue such as recall. I remember bringing up a multitude of issues in this private meeting, and yet nothing was done about it other than termination. Is it possible that you may have done this to say, let's get rid of his problems?
No, so if I can explain, you're confusing the two things. In your internal investigation, you brought up to them that you're having recall issues, mental issues and things like that. So they brought that to me, okay, let's put this officer on administrative leave and based upon your previous recs or whatever it was that you was having. Your second time that you came, that was volunteer. Hey, I'm having issues, but we have EAP program. You need to go talk to them about that. But because you disclosed that in an internal investigation, it was determined that the investigation stopped at that point. Let's put him on admin leave, send him over to HR until we can get that resolved. But the second time, it was just strictly you saying that you was having issues. Okay. Go to human resources.
And one last question, Your Honor, I'm sorry. You were aware, because you were the interim chief at the time, prior to the incident that we just viewed on that screen, I had just returned from another journey of admin leave because I was involved in my second officer involved shooting in less than 6 months. Wouldn't the 2 weeks of administrative leave that I was on before that be a little short for someone who's had 2 shootings?
I don't determine how long administrative leave is. That's medical law, medical related. I don't make a determination when I come back. That had to been discussed between you and whatever medical professional to decide if you was ready to come back to work or not. I have no say so on that whatsoever.
And why wasn't a psychological evaluation ordered?
Sir, that's something that have to be conveyed with the human resources director.
Thank you, Chief. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Cooper, any redirect to the witness? No, ma'am. Turn over to you.
Thank you. Chief Davis, I'm gonna go first before the rest of the board, okay? And I appreciate you being here today, and I know this is stressful for all parties, and it's stressful for us, but we have to ask these questions when we're dealing with a man's livelihood. There's been an introduction of evidence, and Ms. Cooper, you correct me wrong, of the transcript of the informal hearing. Is that entered into evidence? Did I hear that right?
I believe so.
Okay, based off, if that is true, I don't want to make a statement until that's
It's exhibit number 9.
exhibit number 9. During that informal hearing, questions were asked Chief Davis of Mr. Benedict what he was doing since he had been an employee of the city of Laverne. And he stated that he had been doing some work for Rutherford County through, I guess, the Judicial Commissioner's Office for a while as a pretrial release coordinator. Are you familiar with that?
I believe that was after us. I think that was his job once he stopped working for us. I've never seen him, and of course, I hadn't been in getting warrants or anything like that in a while now. So
Had you heard, or that you speak of that, had any of your officers or any of your command staff come to you and said, hey, did you, y'all were all in Rutherford County, is that right?
at some point in time, I believe someone did, yes.
Okay. Did you or any of your command staff notify the judiciary of Rutherford County of the status of Mr. Benedict, being that now he's in the office of the courts now?
Yes, sir, I did personally.
Who did you speak with?
To the general himself.
To the district attorney general?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does the district attorney general oversee the judicial commissioners of Rutherford County?
I believe so, or one of the judges, I'm not sure.
Did you speak with one of the judges?
No, I spoke to the Attorney General.
So you told them verbally, well, you didn't send any kind of emails
I
or?
can tell you exactly where we were. No, we were verbally together. We was having breakfast monthly, the chiefs, all the chiefs and the attorney, not the Attorney General, but the district attorney. We have breakfast, quarterly. And we were at the Cracker Barrel in Smyrna. And after we got finished eating, we was about to leave. I said, hey, do you have a minute? I said, yes. I said, hey, just want to inform you that Benedetti, the officer that we submitted to you for decertification, is now working in the commissioner's office. He said, we'll look into that. That's the end of that conversation. And
So you said, and you were speaking with the judge or the?
no, I was speaking with the district attorney.
The district attorney general?
Yes.
So you had not spoke to any of the judiciary like, and when I speak of that, of the general sessions judges or circuit judges of Rutherford County?
No, it's only to the James Jones, the district attorney.
So is it your assumption that when you had this conversation with the district attorney general, is that the county had hired a liar?
Yes, that was my intent. Well, I was wanting to inform that so that there wouldn't be any conflict between our officers and Benedetti when we went to the Judicial Commission's office. But also, yes, the fact, hey, this is the guy that we termed for untruthfulness.
And that's what we're here for today, is because your department will come to him as a liar.
Yes.
Evidently, it's not a speeder, because I've heard testimony from your assistant chief that we don't decertify if it's just one charge of 119 mile an hour and one oncoming traffic chasing somebody. It's just, if you speed and lie, then we're here. Is that correct?
No, you wouldn't get this decertified for speeding. We would try to go through our matrix with that, training and things like that. But when it comes to untruthfulness, that takes you in another category of being out of pre-employment guidelines and of course, submitted to the DA's office for Brady and all of these things.
Okay. That's all the questions. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Wright.
Commissioner Wright. Chief, you testified that there was 2 violations of general order, one being the pursuit and one being the truthfulness, and the truthfulness being the one that fits in the matrix that led to your recommendation for termination to the mayor. Is it the truthfulness at the scene at the time that he said, hey, I got hit, or is it the truthfulness after that point at the time of the April 29th and the June 15th interviews that did not match up?
Again, when I looked at the video, so I guess you can say it was from the actual scene itself. I did not see him myself in video get struck. So that itself was being untruthful, which in my opinion led to the pursuit as it did that day.
Chief, did you see Officer Prizemore get struck in that video?
I did not.
But at that scene, at that time, you said that Benedetti, it was the truthfulness at the scene that led to it, but yet Prizemore is not up for decertification.
No, the reason why I did not look at Prizemore as being untruthful with that because he was at the vehicle when the vehicle started rolling off. So therefore, that does constitute aggravated assault because he felt that he was in fear of being struck by that vehicle. But Benedetti, on the other hand, said he got struck by the mirror and different things. And we only saw one view here, but I believe it was Officer Dwyer's vehicle, where you can see that the vehicle was always going to the right during this whole thing to get in the lane of travel to continue down northbound. So I guess you can say, based upon the perception of that officer in fear of being struck, that may took that out of it versus an officer saying I was struck.
Commissioner Russell.
Mr. Russell. Chief, thank you for your testimony today. Are all pursuits reviewed by policy and orders?
I can't say that all pursuits because before I was chief, you had 12 years of maybe, maybe not, but now we try to make it a general practice that at least administrative will review it unless we put a team together.
But that's not in general orders when and how many pursuits are reviewed.
It is in our general orders to have a pursuit review board, but that's something that's yearly, I guess you can say that, but now, not because of this incident, or anything, the city has constituted a safety committee to review all corrections in the city.
Are you all going to submit your general order on pursuits to the commission so we can review it?
I don't know, I mean, if I can get to a computer, I can pull it off electronically.
Okay.
But I will say this about our pursuit policy. At the time that this happened, our pursuit policy has been revised since then, so you will not get to see previous policy.
Is your truthfulness policy will be submitted for us to review?
So commission members, the party, it's up to the parties to decide what they want the commission to look at. You can't request them to submit any document.
I know, I was just
Okay.
curious if they are.
Well, you'll just have to wait until that, it'll be a surprise for all of us. We'll just have to wait until that happens.
Okay, what's the appeal process for terminations with your department?
The appeal process doesn't go through the department, it goes through the city. So whatever the city has in place, my understanding is that they can submit a letter to the city administrator. And he can administratively make the decision, or he can have a hearing or whatever. But again, we've gone through, we're on our third HR director since I've been chief for a little over a year. So things have changed drastically since then. Even our city policy.
And the appeal process would be in general orders,
It'll be in city policy.
city policy.
Yes.
Has any other employees been terminated for being untruthful
Yes.
within your time as chief?
Yes.
How many?
4.
And are those all certified law enforcement officers?
Yes.
How many of those 4 has went through decertification?
Everybody's seen the news. Those 4 officers have 5 were terminated. 4 of the 5 lied during investigation under Garrity. Those have been submitted to post as well as the DA for Fred.
Okay.
I guess it could be verified if that's a question.
And if I understand right, you submitted Officer Getty's case to the Attorney General for review.
Yes.
Did you submit his internal investigation or a criminal investigation for review?
I don't recall a criminal investigation, but the whole internal investigation, videos, transcripts, everything was submitted to him.
Was the statements he gave under Garrity submitted to the Attorney General?
It was in the whole packet, so yes.
If I'm not mistaken, and I know that you was in internal affairs, I don't think that could go to the Attorney General for criminal charges. So,
There were no pending charges against Officer Benedetti for this. It was only administrative.
absolutely. So, can you tell us how Officer Benedetti was terminated?
How?
What's the procedure? Do you take a form out there, serve it, take his gun, his badge, or do you shoot him an email and say, don't come to work?
No, he was already, my understanding that I believe he was already, he may have been on admin leave or not, but he was called in to Human Resources Office and myself, Human Resources Director was there at the time. We changed within, it was Don McLeod at the time, and he was.
I'm
ready
sorry, I didn't
termination letter.
understand
Can you, what part, Ms. Stevens, did you?
It was something at the time, it sounded like Cloud was in there.
I'm sorry, the HR director named Don McLeod.
Oh, okay.
It was myself and the HR director, Don McLeod, and spread the termination letter to him. And he was relieved of his duties.
And once you got the investigation, the internal investigation, and you submit that to the mayor, or you just submit a memo to the mayor request and he be terminated?
In this case, I sent the email to the mayor, based upon the findings from the Trent Affairs investigator, and I concurred with findings. I'm recommending that he be terminated at this time. He was sent back. Not only do I send it to the mayor, but I also, I report to the city administrator, so I would send it to the administrator, but I also copied the HR director at the time too, that way we're all been.
And who would send back the recommendation from the mayor to you, the city administrator
The
or?
mayor, the mayor
Mayor
would
would send you an email.
respond, say proceed, or whatever he would say at the time.
And then that would go in the termination paperwork that you would present to Officer Spaghetti.
I wouldn't present it, it come from human resources.
And does the city board has to approve terminations or just by the mayor?
Just by the mayor.
I think that's all I got right now. Thank you.
Commissioner Green.
Commissioner Green, Chief. The other officer that was involved that alleged that he was in fear of his life, did he ever change his story
No, he
in
never
the
wavered.
interviews? When someone alleges that they've been struck in the line of duty, either for whatever reason, does that put the city at some liability to incur medical
It does.
costs? Did the officer change his story multiple times during the course of this investigation?
Which officer?
Benedetto.
Yes.
In turning over the internal affairs case to the Attorney General, was that purely based on a Brady notification and not to pursue a criminal investigation?
No, it's strictly for Brady.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Cherry.
Thank you. Chief, I think everybody here agrees that as the chief of police, you're very interested in having officers that you believe that will testify truthfully and make reports that are truthful that you rely on. So I think all of us are sympathetic to your position if you're dealing with an officer that you think has been lying. But at the same time, one concern I have, I'm a lawyer for the state. I look at investigations and I look at transcripts of court proceedings, and it isn't unusual to see cases where some event happens, some crime is committed. You may have multiple witnesses who have very different versions of what they saw. And of course, when you're looking at officers and trying to determine what to do after they've made some kind of misstatement, something that's proven to be false, I think we would agree that it's important to look at the reason why they told the falsehood. You know, for example, if somebody in an investigation, for example, is confronted with an accusation that they've stolen something, and they say, "No, I never stole it," that's a direct lie that is trying to avoid responsibility for something. Or if they say, we have witnesses who saw you at the scene, and they say, "No, I was with my girlfriend in Cincinnati that day," there's an obvious reason that they're telling a falsehood. But when somebody says something that isn't accurate, and there's no apparent reason why they would do that, that kind of raises an issue in my mind about whether they intended to tell the lie or not. When you look at this situation with Officer Benedetti, he says, "Hey, I was struck by this vehicle," and yet we look at the tape and we see that the vehicle didn't come close enough. It's obvious that he wasn't struck. Do you have any idea about how to address it as far as the knowing lying in that case?
I have no idea other than just saying it wasn't truthful.
Other than what?
Other than just not being truthful. I have no other reason to think that he was mistaken or anything.
In your experience with Officer Benedetti, was there any other event where he seemed to be deceptive or avoided the truth of the situation?
To my knowledge, no, there have been some other things that happened, but as far as being deceptive or anything like that, no, sir.
I think there was some mention either by you or perhaps Officer Benedetti when he was asking you some questions about past events that may have impacted on his mental state, perhaps some officer-involved shootings or accidents or something of that nature. Could you share with us what you know about those?
So I can't speak to what the officer was shooting at Oak Ridge, but prior to that, we had an incident. Lieutenant General could probably speak to that more too, being CID lieutenant. We had a situation to where there was a car disabled on the side of the road, and we had a good Samaritan come to the aid of these people on the side of the road, and people on the side of the road stole the car from that gentleman. And my understanding that Officer Benedetti was potentially in the way or was in the way of the car, but whatever the situation was, he got a shot off on the car drive away. My understanding, it wasn't on camera view, so you couldn't see exactly what happened at the time, so we had no choice but to believe what he said.
So was there a claim that he was put in danger from this other vehicle that might have been hit under different circumstances?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, was there any kind of mental health counseling or any kind of psych eval done for the impact of that on what could have occurred later, and whether there was any kind of relationship between these two events?
He was put on admin leave as a result of that. If there was any mental health issues, he didn't bring them up for it to be taking place. My knowledge, at least since I've been chief, well, we haven't had an issue on that, but having to ask for psychological for return of duty or anything that hasn't been done. So I can't say that was protocol at the time. So,
okay. And again, I'm sorry if it seems like I'm kind of beating a dead horse. It seems like we're talking a lot about this statement that, hey, I was hit by the mirror when he wasn't hit by the mirror. And if we look at that statement standing alone, did that damage the department in any way?
Not that particular incident, other than the medical bills that he incurred after he wanted to go to the hospital later that day. But the totality of it is we could have been in litigation because person did lose their life. So there could have been some liability or something there if it was not awarded in my favor.
But as far as the comment about him being struck by a mirror when he wasn't struck by a mirror, is that kind of separated from the liability?
It does. We look at that as two incidents, which Deputy Chief had to testify to. That's why he only looked at the pursuit part, because the other part could have been potential. Well, it was in another jurisdiction, but because it potentially could have been looked at as a criminal matter, we kind of separated ourselves from that. So to answer your question, the medical expenses occurred from him saying he'd been hit by the mirror, was what the city was not.
And of course, there were no expenses incurred as a result of that claim. Is that fair to say?
Yes, the detective's card that needed to be repaired from that.
Okay, that's okay.
But that, other than that,
Thank you.
Commissioner Green. Got one more,
Yes,
Commissioner
sir.
Green. Were any cases dismissed based on your bringing this to the attention of the Attorney General? Did he have any pending criminal cases in court?
I can't recall it. Maybe Lieutenant General can speak to that, but I don't think he had anything pending at the time that he was deemed brave for it to be dismissed.
Thank you.
Got one.
Commissioner Wagner.
Commissioner Wagner, Chief, if Officer Benetti wrote his report that he was struck by a mirror, is that true?
I would have to look, but that's my
That's basically
understanding. Yes.
the crux of it. If he had come forward in the internal affairs investigation and said, after thinking about it, I misspoke or that didn't happen, would you have terminated?
He wouldn't be here today.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Kind of,
Commissioner Wright.
Commissioner Wright, I have one kind of follow-up on Commissioner Cherry and Commissioner Wagner. So in your, I don't want to say this. So in your opinion, there was no reason for Officer Benedetti to lie. He had nothing to gain from lying.
No.
One more question.
Any others? Rich?
Ms. Cooper, any redirect of your witness?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Benedetti, any recross? Chief Davis. any-
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Chief, you stated to the commissioner, I believe it's Commissioner Russell, what the appeal process looks like. Why did you say that Laverne had an appeal process, yet you and Mr. McLeod told me there was no appeal process as I was being terminated?
I'm not absolutely sure that was even said, but that may not have been the case at the time of their appeal process.
Chief, remember you were under oath here, okay?
Absolutely. And again, if I don't recall, I don't recall.
That was the last thing you said to me, was there was no appeal process and I could submit a statement to post if I wished. That was the last thing you said to me. Do you not recall that?
I've already answered that question. I don't recall.
You stated you spoke with A.G. Jennings.
I did.
You stated that you told him that I was a Brady cop now. Were you aware that when I interviewed for my position at the pretrial release coordinator for Rutherford County, I actually interviewed with Judge Ishod and the magistrate Jacob Flatt?
If I can correct your question, I didn't have to tell James Jones that you were a Brady officer. I said, this is the officer that was submitted to you for Brady. He makes the determination if the officer is Brady or not, and I have no clue who you interviewed.
Okay. My apologies, Chief.
Okay.
No further questions, John.
Ms. Cooper, any redirect based on those questions? Commission members, any questions based on those questions?
Thank you, Chief. Yes, you're free to step down. Thank you so much. All right, your next witness, Ms. Cooper.
If I can have just one moment.
Okay, we're not gonna take a recess, but,
No, just
okay, that's fine.
I don't have any other witnesses here.
Any other documents for the state for the debt?
If I can speak with Mr. Benedetti. for just a moment.
I would.
Oh, it's just- Well, I think everything on both of those pages. I have no problem. Thank you for asking.
Cooper?
Your Honor, at this point, there is one other exhibit that was not uploaded to the Penn Cloud. It is the termination memo from the chief to Mr. Benedetti. I've spoken with him. He has no objection to it coming in to evidence being entered as the next exhibit. I can load it to the cloud right now, and I asked for it to be printed as well so that the commission members would have a copy.
Okay, so, well, that's the big issue, of course, today is the commission members. I can get the document at a later point, but the commission members can get that document today. So I'll wait and accept it once that's available for distribution. So I'm assuming that's gonna be uploaded onto their iPad. Ms. Cooper?
Can it? Okay.
Ms. Cooper's.
Let me email it to you right now.
All right, so Mr. Benedetti, what's gonna happen now while she's doing that? So the state has rested their case. You have not been called, as I stated, as a witness for the state. You can testify if you'd like, or you can call someone to testify on your behalf, or you don't have to do anything.
I would like to testify on.
Okay, so if you'll start the microphone.
We take a short break.
Okay, the court reporter has requested a short break, so we'll take a 10-minute recess. And if you'll be ready, Mr. Benedetti will be.
Absolutely, thank you.
We stand in recess. What time?
Sure. Know what that's gonna be. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Got popcorn? No?
I got some, chocolate covered coffee beans. It's the best I can do.
I'll bet. Thank you for the water.
Absolutely.
Yes, so I am one of 12 central judges and you're supposed to be. And yet, that's.
And I think that's a good thing.
I'm the only person.
Good.
That's what people like. Have a judge. Because that- but yeah, So awkward. Actually, a lot. Everyone.
I think it's, yeah, I think that's.
Yes. Yes. I agree. That's exactly right. So. That's
I need to work for some. I said, I said.
So, but no, we.
Shoot.
And so I said it for next. So this, I'm letting the powers that be. But, you know, we all report to something. Maybe you don't, Mr. Chair, but I report. Okay.
No.
I report to someone, so,
Always a hard time.
yeah, there's not me. I don't get,
This world.
I don't get to make all the decisions. Well, I'm happy to be here, honestly. I wish I would.
You like a water?
Yeah, the real small.
Oh, those are nice.
I thought that's already, I was later focused on this.
We're having sidebar for you.
Please, mine,
Did you get the email about bringing out?
No, I'm saying. He's not here. I'm gonna keep it going.
come back. It's a little over. Is yours turbo charged? It's black and tan. That's just the same color. I'm sorry. State police bills. I need to go.
Manchester. Shelbyville's the road.
Lee Russell. So.
Just a little bit more. Hold this closer.
Come to order, the hearing is now back in session.
Thank you. After a brief recess, the state has closed their proof, but before we move on to Mr. Bennett and his testimony, has that document been uploaded, Ms. Cooper, into either the 10 cloud or into the commission members' iPads?
I'm uploading it now, and I had asked Ms. Greer to print out copies for the commission members, and I'm waiting on that now still.
Okay. Well, just let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't interrupt anybody's testimony until we get to a good point. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Benedetti, as I said, you don't have to testify. You may indicate that you want to. So I'm going to place you under oath, and then I'll give you some directions. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you.
So help me God.
So your testimony, since you're representing yourself, is perfectly fine, but it will be in narrative form. So you may tell the commission members what you would like them to hear or the department's request for the decertification and the post-commission membership. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to share my side of the story. In my 2.5 years of law enforcement, yes, I've had a rocky road. I've been called many things, a magnet, with an expletive at the front of it. I think a lot of people would agree with that. I have gone through a lot of traumatic experiences, and I don't think I should be punished for experiencing those things. Like I stated in my opening address, I'm an officer who's been given a letter of commendation for saving lives. I've made numerous arrests, none of which have been questioned, none of which have been, to my knowledge, sustained or complained about. This is my first disciplinary action I've ever received as a law enforcement officer, being this case. And even during this case, the state would have you believe that I'm this vile liar and a Brady cop, someone who can't be trusted. That's just not the truth. And you sit here and you watch that video and you think, where's he going with this? Because he was not hit by that car. It's true, I was not hit by the vehicle. I wrote my statement less than an hour and a half after that occurred. And in a sidebar conversation with Officer Fesmeyer, I asked him, what just happened? As you can tell, I arrived on scene and everything went completely haywire within a matter of 15 seconds. 15 seconds was the amount of time I had to decipher everything that just happened and whether or not I should pull the trigger because I don't know where my partner is. I was terrified that Officer Fesmeyer was under the truck. And I pulled my gun out thinking, I just came back from an officer-involved shooting. This would be my third in 6 months. Do I pull the trigger? That takes a toll on a human body, especially at the time, a 25-year-old young man who hasn't even been married yet, hasn't had a child. I'm not going to stand here and make excuses for what you see on that video. I did clearly state he hit me with his mirror. I did do that. I made a mistake in not checking my video or just keeping my mouth shut at the time and waiting to ask Officer Fesmeyer what had happened or Officer Klein what had happened. However, I had not seen that video since my second IA interview. That was in June of 2021. So almost a year and a half. Any testimony that I gave at the informal hearing was done without any evidence. The only documentation that was provided to me was the documents Ms. Cooper and I just discussed. It was the termination memo and the grounds for termination. After reviewing this video in private, I sat there and asked myself, what point do I have to lie, especially when I knew that I was standing right in front of my camera? Why would I do that? Is it because I'm in denial or I'm cynical or I'm maybe the worst liar that ever was? I'm not that stupid. I can assure you that. I am not that stupid. However, as I look back at the video, you'll notice at 13:29:22 in the video, I'll ask that it be pulled up here in a moment. You'll see that debris, and this is why I asked Deputy Chief Hatcher about debris, you will see debris patterns begin to enter the frames. 3 cars just became one in the matter of those 15 seconds. Is it possible that debris began to fly off all 3 of those vehicles? And what was failed to be mentioned, you kind of see it in the video, is that I'm in the middle of all 3 of those cars chasing down the truck on foot or sidestepping. I later turned and ran towards the truck. We keep hearing so much about Officer Dwyer's video. Officer Dwyer's video shows the whole story. Where is it? If it was so important, why wasn't it brought today? Why wasn't it admitted into evidence? It's because there's nothing on it. You can't see anything. The state brings forward the video that shows everything up until I'm out of frame. What happens once I'm out of frame? No one knows because Officer Dwyer's video wasn't brought. But you do see in my video, like I said at the time mentioned, debris patterns beginning to enter the screen. I changed my story so much because I was in a mental state where I still didn't know what happened. I've never been disciplined for anything regarding truthfulness before. And just the fact that I have to be here in the same room with 2 of the 3 of these men, they called me a liar, still hurts me to this day because I gave everything for that department. Yeah, I wrecked a car for going too fast. I made a mistake. I own that mistake. This was the next incident. I don't know what I did to deserve the treatment that I received, but I did not lie to deceive this investigation. I did not lie to try and hinder Deputy Chief Hatcher because I had no reason to. There's a combination of post-traumatic stress, not having been psychologically cleared after my officer-involved shooting, in which what was failed to be mentioned, a female was run over right in front of my eyes, and that's why I shot at the person. He ran over his accomplice right in front of me, sucked her under the wheels, and then tried to drive at me. That's why I shot at him. And the kid looked no more than 15 years old. If we could we please bring up the video now? I don't know, the quality's not very good. My vehicle was a 2013 Ford Explorer. Not an HD camera in it.
So, Mr. Benedetti, are you asking that what's been accepted as to exhibit number 5, a replay of what we've already seen, or some new portion?
Yes, Your Honor, if we could re-enter exhibit number 5.
But no, which part of that exhibit, or do you want the commission members to see? Because I'm not, unless the commission members want to see the video that we've already seen again, that's up to them. If there's something new on the video, I'm happy to have them see that.
We can withhold it, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you for turning the lights off though, sir. Appreciate it.
So, hold on one second. So, the chair has asked me if there was a stipulation as to part of the video. That's why
I don't recall that. I recall a statement from you saying there was 90 minutes worth of being
Right.
downloaded as evidence.
So that's why I'm asking Mr. Benedetti if there's something else that I don't want to see.
No,
what we've already seen.
we've seen this already.
Okay.
It just wasn't mentioned by the state.
Okay, so if there's something, because as Ms. Cooper stated, it's a 90-minute long video. So we don't have, you're not just limited to the portion we've already seen. If there's other portions of that video that you want the commission members to consider, we can watch that.
Okay, maybe in a little bit. I'll
Okay.
get to that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Also, this review should have never happened because this pursuit was terminated before the defendant was run over. A commander gave the order to terminate the pursuit, and officers continued anyway, following the termination order, leading to the defendant being ultimately run over and killed. I can't remember which commander it was, unfortunately, and I don't want to speculate, so I won't. However, there indeed was a termination order, and I'm sure if we watch the 90 minutes of that video, you will hear it. This should have never happened. And that doesn't excuse my testimony that I gave during the IA interviews. However, as I mentioned before, I do have evidence that I would like to enter. It has been uploaded to the cloud to impeach the IA interviews. It's the only thing I uploaded, so hopefully.
Your Honor, just for your information, and I don't believe it's on the iPads, there is a social security number and a medical record number that are still unredacted on Mr. Benedetti's document.
Right. And so my question to you, Ms. Cooper, will be, have these documents been uploaded on the commission members' iPads?
I did not send that to be uploaded on the iPads. I don't know if Mr. Benedetti asked for it to be uploaded.
I just put it into the cloud folder.
Okay, so Ms. Cooper, are you able to download that and disseminate that to the iPads to the commission members?
Let me. Do you
The concern,
Like me to-
Mr. Benedetti, is, which Ms. Cooper raised, is that your social security numbers on here. And so if it cannot be put in print, Ms. Cooper, that's my request. Because if it can be just put on their iPads, they don't take those home with them. And I know the commission members don't access those documents outside of this hearing.
Is any evidence public record following the hearing you're on?
Well, it would be redacted. That's what she's asking. So
I didn't know if I needed to do it.
well, if there's a public records request, we can redact that. You should redact that. I can, of course, can only access the document if you've submitted it, but it's a 3-page document. Right, Mr. Benedetti?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Any objections, Ms. Cooper?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The real issue is getting this document to the board members. It's actually collective. And so it's, medical records, physician's report rather from May 18, 2021. May 20. May 18. Where did it go on? It's just the one report, correct, Mr. Benedetti?
There should be 2 sheets.
Well,
I
there's-
think-
right, there's 3 pieces of paper, but it's all from the same doctor's.
I think one got uploaded twice, but yes, Your Honor, it is from the same visit, same day of service.
So I'll accept the document as exhibit number 12. Ms. Cooper, if you can help get that to the board members.
I will do that right now.
So as I've accepted the document, Mr. Benedetti, before the board members have a chance to look at it, you're welcome to point out to them anything in particular you want them to take note of.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the commission, I will direct you first to the second page, first paragraph, where Dr. Adams, who is the city of Laverne's pre-employment physician, and also I guess he's contracted through the city. I don't know his exact position. After my car accident and after the first IA review, as we heard from the state, I was sent on administrative leave due to issues with recall. It was later determined in this first paragraph that my doctor states that he wants to refer me to neurology due to a brain injury, plain and simple. Is it enough one? I'm sorry. Can I pass it around, Your Honor?
Well,
I have physical copies.
okay, that's fine. You can pass this physical copies to the commission members. That's fine.
Sorry. In this document, you will see where my primary care physician or the department's primary care physician goes through a list of tests and then ultimately comes to the diagnosis of memory loss and cognitive impairment. And this was occurring during the first internal affairs interview, which is why I changed my story so many times, is because I couldn't even remember who I was at the time. My version of reality was so hindered by what was going on in my brain from injury that I just simply couldn't give factual testimony, to the point where we don't hear the audio from this internal affairs interview. But things were getting pretty heated because answers were wanted. And I couldn't get them because I didn't know, to the point where I just started saying things to make it end, to where I could just tell them what they wanted to hear so I could get out of the room and go home. Because I've been on second shift that entire day with a brain injury, not knowing what was going on. And I should have spoken up. I should have said something. But that shouldn't cause me to be a liar. I'll let the remaining commission members view that before continuing. But I just want to close this section with, I'm not a liar. Once we get to the video, if any of the commission members have questions, you see the debris patterns. I think that ultimately is what struck me in this. It may not have been large, it may not have been recognizable, but it was enough for me to think that I was hit by something. Because clearly if I'm that far away from that car, nothing hit me. Or the vehicle didn't hit me. Why would I say that it did? Maybe because my sights on my pistol were aimed at the driver of the vehicle and didn't notice parts flying off the 3 cars that hit me. And I thought I was closer than I was. Thank you.
Would any commission members like to watch any portion of the video that Mr. Benedetti's referenced that we've already seen? It has to be the portion we've already seen. So if we can pull up the video, please, Ms. Cooper. The whole portion of the chase or just the part where Mr. Benedetti arrives on?
Just what we've already seen, just the signal. Yeah, starting from there till they ended it at the, deputy chief's end of testimony.
Thank you.
29, we can start at 10. Or, wait, maybe I got the number. 1349?
It's at 1350.
So as Mr. was making this, Mr. Suspect wakes up and starts driving, pay attention to the bottom right-hand side of the video. We make collision. You can see on the back of the oil tanker, there's a reflection of debris that is coming off. Now, I'm not in view of the vehicle or in view of all this happening. However, if debris was going that way, the trajectory is coming from where I'm standing. Correct? I think it's safe to say that it is coming from where I'm standing. So any other debris that would have come off would have made contact with me. And of course, this wasn't mentioned.
Turn the one step on, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Benedetti.
This wasn't mentioned by Lieutenant Hatcher at the time, or I'm sorry, Deputy Chief Hatcher and Lieutenant Durham, because they didn't think about it. You think if you're going to fire an officer, you would look for every single possible explanation. You would want to give your officer the benefit of the doubt. That's not what happened. It took an officer with about 3 years experience to catch something that 50 years of experience may have missed. And that's no disrespect towards them. It's just me trying to understand why I was called a liar. I rest my case. Thank you.
Ms. Cooper, any questions for Mr. Benedetti?
I do. Thank you. Mr. Benedetti, you just said that these officers should have given you every opportunity to figure out what happened and to give a version of events as to, or to the cause of the injury to your shoulder. And that you cracked the case today with the video and showing the commission members that it must have been debris that hit you.
No, ma'am, I discovered this as they uploaded the video a week ago
Okay,
and watched it numerous times for hours.
but you did say that they should have given you every opportunity to explain or figure out what had happened.
No, they should have investigated every opportunity of what could happen or what couldn't have happened. They should have investigated it in exhaustion, is what I'm saying.
There was an investigation of, wasn't there?
Yes, but once it appeared that I wasn't struck by the vehicle, it appears they took the bait and ran with it,
Okay, took the bait.
or they took it and ran with it.
Mr. Benedetti, is it fair to say that that officers should be able to rely on each other and on the word of the other officers? Your fellow
Yes.
officers, when you were at Laverne Police Department, should have been able to trust you and the statements you made that came out of your mouth, right?
That's correct, and my officers did trust me.
Okay, except for when you started telling different versions of this, of what happened and how you got hurt.
And as the commission's seeing now, I had a brain injury at the time diagnosed by a medical doctor and a neurologist.
And you're referring to this letter from your doctor,
That's correct.
okay, that refers back to an incident, date of injury, March 26th, 2021.
That's correct.
So 3 weeks after the incident that we're here about today, you're saying a brain injury is the reason you started giving different versions of events and lying in multiple interviews.
I wasn't lying.
Okay. I've been writing down your statements, both in the interviews and today. And correct me if I'm wrong. On March 2nd, 2021, within 2 hours of the incident, you write a statement saying the suspect's car hit me. On April 29th of 2021, you tell then Lieutenant Hatcher, Bessmeyer's car hit me. On June of 2021, it's now, I ran into Bessmeyer's car. At the informal, you stood in front of these commissioners and said, no, I injured myself, maybe with the ass, I don't know, my shoulder popped. And so then now today, we have the fifth version, your version, of how you got hurt. And now it's the debris hit me. And you don't know why the Laverne Police Department thinks you're a liar?
I can understand that, but disprove it. Disprove the debris didn't hit me. There's no video that says you can.
Do you understand why these officers believe you're lying?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I absolutely do. However, you can't deny medical diagnosis. You just
A
can't.
medical diagnosis that was made 3 weeks after
Yes,
the
and
incident.
what I'm stating is, when you say I'm changing my story, during the time in which I was changing my story, I had a medical diagnosis, a brain swelling. Can you tell me that someone with brain swelling would have memory issues?
I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. But
And
I
I'm
would
not an
say that
attorney.
on March 2nd, and you would agree with me, on March 2nd, in the hours after this happened, you wrote a report that was a lie. You said that car hit me.
Yes, and in the IA interview, in the first IA interview, I admit that my statement was wrong.
You admit you're.
I came clean and said that it was wrong.
I'm not gonna argue with you today.
And in that first IA interview, I stated, I am not trying to lie. I'm trying to understand what happened. And that's in the transcript.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No further questions?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Benedetti, is there any additional testimony? When I say additional, I mean new. Any new testimony you wish to add based on Ms. Cooper's questions?
I know you're.
I'll turn it over to the commission for any questions. Mr. Trent.
Commissioner Wright, you're ready now.
Commissioner Wright, it's been dating on some earlier testimony. On some earlier testimony, make sure I got the time right. You asked for employee assistance prior to this incident happening, but after the shooting had happened.
That is correct. I made numerous requests while I was at the Laverne Police Department.
Why do you feel that the department went down this road?
My honest opinion,
Yes, sir.
there was attorneys attached to it. They needed someone to get rid of. And I admitted to making a mistake at the start of this hearing. I admitted to not taking my time, not filling out a correct report. But no other officers were disciplined. One day of suspension can be dictated as a day off. They didn't get terminated. I was never counseled. I was just immediately terminated.
I have no further questions.
Commissioner Carter.
Mr. Carter, Mr. Benedetti, in your email to Chief Davis, you stated This incident alleged termination was due to the medical diagnosis I was given. But you just said that you were terminated because there was an attorney at this incident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I would never say that to Chief Davis. Outside of this room, I'm not gonna send him an email in which I'm trying to be cordial and basically say I'm the product of his witch hunt. I wouldn't do that.
Okay. During the time you were at Oak Ridge, were you ever been disciplined for any other incidents?
Never.
Okay, and I'm not trying to bounce back and forth, but one last question on the email to Chief Davis. The last paragraph, you stated, all I ask is if we move past the decertification, I'm not a law enforcement in the private sector investigation job and do not want to return. Is that correct?
At this time, yes, sir, it is correct. Following the first interview, I did say I wanted to go back. However, things in my marriage have changed that would prevent me from going back into law enforcement.
Okay, so you have no intentions of going back to law enforcement?
No, sir, but this certification is more than just a sheet of paper saying that I can be a police officer again. It's something I worked for. It's something I earned. It's something I saw so many horrible things that if it gets taken away from me, that's all for nothing. And it's for the people who train me. And it's to give them justice knowing that they did train me right.
Okay. Also, when the suspect crashed, was it the suspect that got killed?
Yes, sir. The suspect in the white GMC, yes, sir. He was killed by a detective's vehicle that wasn't even supposed to be in the pursuit. And officer emotions can't be used as an excuse as for him wanting to be in pursuit. If I have to follow the same general orders as he does, I get terminated for breaking one. Why shouldn't he be terminated for being in pursuit and killing someone that he had no reason to be in?
Okay, maybe I read something wrong, but I saw where there was multiple charges against him, so maybe I read it wrong. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Russell, you're recognized.
Commissioner Russell. Mr. Vendetti, if you would walk us through how you've seen the termination process work through your eyes, I guess, from the time you was put on administrative leave up until you was terminated.
So contrary to public belief, I was actually not on administrative leave for my termination. I was in earlier testimony, I had mentioned to Chief Davis about a meeting we had in his office. That was to try and reduce the amount of anxiety and stress that I was feeling because I was once again trying to get on EAP. And it was decided from him and Lieutenant Chris Goins that I would go to first shift because it was less stressful. However, after the 2 weeks on first shift was up during that pay period, I was sent to the HR office as soon as I arrived at the police department, taken into an office with then Sergeant Henry McGowan, and was asked to relieve my pistol to him and my badge. And I asked what was going on. And the only thing that could be told to me was, "You'll find out in a second."
So just for my clarification, 2 weeks prior to this incident, you went in and asked for EAP.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And then the incident happened that we're here today to talk about. And during the 2 weeks' time, you was on first shift up till this incident.
Correct, when normally I would be on second shift.
Once this incident happened, what happened for you to get terminated? How did those steps fall in order?
Can you repeat that or rephrase that maybe just a little bit?
I guess once you was done with this pursuit and you done your paperwork, your report and all that, how did you find out there was an investigation?
I found out through other officers that were under oath of Garrity that Lieutenant Hatcher was going around and telling people or pulling people into SIV and interviewing them.
And what was the time length from the time that this happened to the time you found out that?
This was in This was in May, like way after my vehicle collision that had knocked me out of work for 2 months.
Okay. And then you was called in for your first interview,
Correct, sir.
and then how long until your second interview?
40 days, give or take.
And after that 40 days and you've done your second interview, how did you find out that you was being terminated?
I just got called into the office and was told I was terminated. There was no talk, there was no back and forth, there was no, hey, it's looking pretty grim, you should try and resign or any of that stuff. I mean, I knew the investigation was ongoing, I just hadn't heard anything about it. And I asked Lieutenant Durham once and he was just like, hey, shoot me your medical records again, and it should help you out. And then 2 weeks later, I was fired.
So 2 weeks after your second interview, you was fired.
Or, no, I'm sorry, sir. I was fired October 1st. The second interview, I think, was June 19th, 15th, sometime in June. So the second interview occurred. Nothing was discussed about this incident until October. I get called in, boom, I'm fired. And I'm like, I don't know what to do now.
So you worked roughly 4 months after your second interview before you was fired.
Correct. No leave and pending the end of the investigation, no counseling. There was no discussion over it. I was called into an office and fired.
So let's talk about your law enforcement history. Can you talk about when you went to the police academy and what you've done up to the point that you was fired?
I'll try as best as I can. Things that far back still get a little fuzzy. I originally started at the Oak Ridge Police Department. In March of 2019, I went to the police academy. I learned about Brady cops. Learned about the importance of telling the truth. Also learned that post-traumatic stress and mental health is real. As much as it seems to be ignored, it was discussed at length during the academy. I was taught how to drive a vehicle in emergency traffic. I didn't see any issue with the way I was driving in that video. I've seen supervisors in this room drive the same way I did. If not all the time with their lights and sirens on. There's no general order that says how you should or shouldn't drive as long as you are within care of the public, which is what I was taught at the academy. I also was given a certification through extra classes at the academy where I was a medic through an AEMT, which is why I was driving as fast as I was to get to a possible overdose. Because the fire department, I don't know if they're tied up. Why not go and see if I can't get something started before the EMTs get there or before the ambulance gets there? That was the reason behind my driving. I was taught how to shoot, and then I graduated, and I went through a 6-month FTO program in which I did fail one phase. It was phase 2 because I couldn't get geography right, and my FTO, which didn't mesh, and that's how it was. However, I completed 3, 4, 5, and 6, got assigned to my first shift, had no issues at Oak Ridge Police Department whatsoever. I had to use force at Oak Ridge Police Department. I had to use force with my hands and my service pistol. And no wrongdoing was ever found. I didn't have issues until this incident.
And which police academy was it?
It's the Eastern, forgive me if I mess up the name, it's the Eastern Tennessee Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy. Maybe I got that right.
What city is that located in?
And it is in Greenville, Tennessee. However, the graduation is held in Morristown, and so is the EVOC training.
When did you start Laverne?
October of 20.
And why did you leave Oak Ridge?
Because my wife is from here. And she didn't want to live in East Tennessee. Don't blame her. She's a Georgia fan. She doesn't like Vols fans. Sorry. So she wanted to live in Middle Tennessee, where her family is, and I obliged that.
So let's talk about the hiring process for Laverne Police Department. What did you have to go through as far as, I guess you had to fill out an application. Did you have to do a psychological polygraph and all that, or background check?
Yes, sir, I did. However, well, in my background investigation, I believe the captain that Lieutenant Durham and the late Sergeant Zelinski talked to gave me a glowing recommendation to join the Laverne Police Department. I did have to go through a psychological evaluation. However, this evaluation, I'm sure we all know what they look like. You answer a bunch of questions. Do you want to hurt yourself? Do you drink alcohol? What are your hobbies? And then the therapist asks you about it for 5 minutes and you're done.
You have to take a polygraph for this police department.
No, sir. I didn't even have to do a physical or a written exam, such as like running, push-ups, any of that.
You have to take an oath of office.
I was never sworn in. I was given a card that said, here you go, you're now a police officer, without even a chief's signature on the back.
So you didn't have to take an oath of office to be a police officer with the city of Laverne?
I don't recall being sworn in ever. I was given my badge on my first day with Officer Chris Woodard and Officer Bradley Turner. Officer Bradley Turner was sworn in after he graduated the academy. Me and Woodard were already both certified, so we were just thrown to the FTO program and sent on our way.
Okay, one last question. What was the length of interviews for your first and second interview? Do you remember? I don't have to be exact.
Or I'm sorry, between the IA interviews or for the hiring process?
For your internal affairs investigations.
No more than 40 or 50 days, give or take.
Oh, I mean, like how long was it? 50 minutes, 30-minute interviews?
Oh, these were easily 60 plus minutes.
Each of them?
Yes, the second one was not. The second one, I believe, was very much so shorter.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Commissioner Green.
Commissioner Green, is EAP required that you go through your city to be involved in that, or is that something you do voluntarily on your own?
I had mentioned it multiple times to the HR department, which is what you're required to do. You ask them about it, and they will give you the information, and they will do whatever they can to speed the process up. So I went to Zora Frederick, who is I think, assistant HR director at the time. I don't know her exact position, but I said, hey, I'm having some issues. Can you please just give me the information for EAP? And if you don't mind, can you give them a call to speed up the process? I was never contacted by EAP. After even going online myself and creating, you have to create a profile, put in there what you're seeking. I did not receive any form of communication after that.
You mentioned in your training and at the academy that they talked about the importance of honesty.
Yes, sir.
Did they talk about the consequences of dishonesty?
Yes, sir, they did.
And you were aware of that?
Yes, sir.
In your interviews, when you were going through them and you mentioned that you really didn't know what happened, do you ever think that might be an adequate response to say, I just don't know, as opposed to making up different stories?
Yes, sir. You will see in the transcript in the first interview that I say I don't recall, and Lieutenant Hatcher says I don't recall is not a correct response.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Carter.
Commissioner Carter, I hate to keep going back, to the driver, but I just went back in reference to the informal hearing. When Vice Chair Faulkner asked you, what was the driver charged with? And your response was, Officer Fastmeyer was a primary investigating officer on the case. I believe he was charged with multiple counts for aggravated assault, multiple counts of felony vandalism, multiple counts of felony evading arrest, reckless endangerment, reckless driving, and possession of a stolen motor vehicle over 20,000. Can't understand why a decedent would be charged with all these if he's not living to face these charges. Can you explain that to me?
Can you rephrase just the last part for me, sir?
I'm trying to understand why a decedent was charged with all these charges and he's not living. These charges was against the driver, but you told me earlier that the driver was killed in the crash.
He was still charged, or at the time of the crash, he was not dead at the scene. He was in a vegetative state at the scene, and was not pronounced dead for I think about 4 hours later at Mount Sinai Hospital.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I guess I'll be the last one here. And my questions are more for clarity for you and me.
Yes, sir.
And, you understand the makeup of this board, sir?
Yes, sir. It appears to be congressmen, former police officers, current police officers, and appointees from the governor.
The people affiliated and with lots of years of experience in law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
Do you think any of these board members might have been involved in situations like yours and been involved in lawsuits or criminal investigations in the many years of experience that they have?
I'm almost sure of it, sir, whether indirectly or.
If I could answer that for you, yes, many of us, and there's probably not a one in here that's not been in federal court over some kind of matter such as yours.
Yes, sir.
Or similar to yours. Was it your testimony you've been in law enforcement about 2 years?
Prior to arriving at Laverne, yes, sir. I accepted my offer with Oak Ridge in November of 2018. Left there in September of 21 and then, or September of 20, and then worked at Laverne from 20 to 21.
Okay, so
About 3 years.
about 3 years
Roughly,
old.
give or take.
So you were super rookie.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for me, you kind of lost me with the department. And when you stated, that you were an scapegoat. Was that your statement kind of?
That's how it felt to me. Yes,
How
sir.
it felt to you?
Yes, sir.
And so with all the testimony and review of this case, I can tell you from what has been testified to by the chief and the assistant chief is that there was multiple officers involved in this incident that led to a pursuit that led to eventually later a death, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that if there was some type of attorney such as Morgan and Morgan that were looking at some kind of litigation towards officers or the city of Laverne, would you agree that you were at the end tier of this investigation? Would you agree with that?
I believe so.
And
I'm trying to understand.
Okay, if we just take the video alone, where were you at during the pursuit?
Right at the start.
Right at the start. Were you ever in the pursuit?
No, sir.
Were you ever running in oncoming traffic?
No, sir.
Were you ever involved in crashing the vehicle out that he was driving?
No, sir.
Were you in the vehicle or operating the vehicle that made contact with the defendant that initiated or which resulted to his death?
No, sir. However, the other officers responded apparently to what I had done, or that's what it made out to be in the IA interview, if you review that as well. That the result of my actions caused the responding officers to go as hard as they did. Or we got to get this guy, I think is what Deputy Chief Hatcher says.
And then you had testimony earlier that there was somebody of authority within your department that called for termination.
So, yes, sir.
And people still went on.
Yes, sir.
And those would be recorded from
On my dash cam.
your dash cam, the communication center, your Laverne 911 area, wherever the recording of the radio transmissions would be, right?
Yes, sir.
So would it not be plausible that any attorney, matter of fact, novice attorney, would subpoena or request those recordings, right?
Yes, sir.
And if there was going to be a lawsuit, it would probably be on those officers that were in that pursuit that did not terminate, which resulted to a death.
Correct. But
Which would leave you way at the end of the tier of this situation. Actually non-relevant.
then why were no, I would just
Are you
say
following?
that why were no other officers disciplined?
Well, there was. From testimony I heard.
Sergeant Stats was not disciplined. I know Sergeant Stats very well and personally, he was not disciplined.
Was there not testimony to discipline?
He could have been asked to take the day off, but I don't think he was ever formally disciplined.
But would you agree there was testimony to discipline?
Yes.
Okay, that's all we've got to go on, sir.
No, I completely understand.
Okay,
Sir.
I understand where you're coming from. But in this matter, it's strictly the point of now things have gotten construed in a manner. I don't think that the pursuit, in my opinion, the pursuit was continue on of what you did or what you said. Okay, because there was too many people that left that scene. I saw on that video again, 2 other patrol cars leaving and going in pursuit. And then there was more adjacent people in the pursuit. There was other people in that pursuit that saw what happened. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so whatever was mumbled on the radio is not really gonna have an effect because this guy just drove through a major intersection, which I've been through 1,000,000 times in my lifetime, in the middle of the day with heavy traffic, and he's crashed 2 of Laverne's finest. And it's already been testified to that this guy was passed out. You're thinking it's a drug overdose. He was a danger, period, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I'm coming to full circle here is I have a problem with your testimony that you think the city of Laverne fired you because of some kind of potential litigation. And I will go on and tell you, if there was gonna be legal litigation over that death, son, you would be at the tail end of the witness list.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Before we come back to you, Ms. Cooper, I did notice that looks like that document was uploaded that you and Mr. Benedetti had agreed on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so
It's right here too, your own way to get back.
that's a different document.
Oh, this is different.
You're right, but thank you.
get this back to you?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the document that the parties have agreed to submit into evidence, is it the informal packet? Is that what that's called?
Yes.
Okay, so commission members, I'm accepting it's labeled in your iPad, Benedetti Zachary informal packet 2 redacted as exhibit. Is it collected exhibit?
It's 2 pages.
Oh, okay, so it'll be exhibit number 13. And the document that had physically been handed around was properly uploaded, so that's already been accepted, Commissioner Wright. That was accepted as exhibit number 12. So this document will be exhibit number 13. Was there anything, Ms. Cooper, you wished to bring to the board's attention about exhibit number 13?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Benedetti, was there anything in the informal packet that's now before the commission members? Anything that you wanted them to pay particular attention to?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, Mr. Benedetti, do you have any additional new testimony you wish to add based on the questions from the commission members?
No, Your Honor, I rest.
So no other documents you wish to submit to evidence?
No, ma'am.
And no other witnesses to testify here on your behalf today, correct?
I think I'm done.
All right,
Yes,
thank you,
ma'am.
Mr. Benedetti. You may have a seat. Ms. Cooper, any rebuttal proof?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any closing argument from the state? Ms. Cooper?
Your Honor, I'll keep it brief. He's admitted, commission members, he admitted that he did not tell the truth in his initial report. And I went through the 5 different versions that he has given. There's no reason to believe that someone who would lie for no reason, that you can have faith in anything that they say, basically, especially a police officer who has to be relied upon to give truthful testimony. I don't think that the city of Laverne here had any choice but to terminate him for his dishonesty. And so I would ask for you to revoke the certification.
Thank you. Mr. Benedetti, the closing argument is your statements to the commission as to why they should rule in your favor. You may make one or not. It's not required.
I will make one. Thank you, Your Honor.
And then one other instruction, you should also then tell them what disciplinary action, if any, you think would be appropriate in your case. So tell them what you're asking for.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, Your Honor. I did make mistakes. I see that reviewing all this. I'm not innocent. I'm not innocent of never making a mistake in my life. However, all of us make mistakes, some worse than others. I think you've seen through my evidence and my testimony that decertification is absolutely not the case here. I would ask that you dismiss the case. However, if you would like to suspend my certification, to appease both the state and the department. I understand. However, I would like for it to be dismissed. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, commission members. I was just accepting that last exhibit. You have now heard the proof in the matter of the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance for Zachary Benedetti. It is now my duty to charge you as to the law you must follow in reaching your decision. You are the exclusive judges of the facts in this case. You also are the exclusive judges of the law, specifically your statutes, rules, and regulations and their application to this case. You should apply the law to the facts as decided in this case under the directions of my charge. You exclusively have the authority to make findings of facts and reach conclusions of law. No one else can participate in your deliberations. However, if you find that you need to have a law or legal terminology explained to you, I can assist you. I'll remind you that the state has the burden of proof. The burden of proof is by a preponderance of the evidence. I know that most of you are involved in criminal matters. Please do not confuse the preponderance of the evidence with a much higher standard of the evidence, doubt, or even clear and convincing evidence. The part of the technical record is the notice of hearing and charges that doesn't have to be admitted to evidence, but that should also be uploaded onto your iPads. You must limit your inquiry into the violations or rules and statutes that's specifically listed in the notice of hearing and charges. You must not infer from any of my rulings or instructions that I hold any opinion or view for or against any party. None of my remarks have been intended to indicate an opinion as to the facts or what your decision would be. The evidence consists of the testimony given by the witnesses as well as the documents submitted to evidence either through the stipulations by the parties or the documents submitted individually. The other documents and the persuasive arguments made by the parties are not meant to be evidence. While we may consider them for persuasiveness, they are not considered evidence. You are the sole and exclusive judges of the credibility or believability of the witnesses who have testified in this case. You must decide which witnesses you believe and how important you think their testimony is. You are not required to accept or reject everything a witness says. You are free to believe all, none, or part of any person's testimony. In deciding which testimony you believe, you should rely on your own common sense and everyday experience. Although you may only consider the competent evidence presented during this hearing in making your decision, this does not mean you are required to set aside your common knowledge or expertise in the field of law enforcement or law. You may, and in fact should, weigh the evidence in light of your training and your own observations and experiences. Ms. Cooper, do you have any proposed findings? Okay, so in a minute, Ms. Cooper is going to be handing out a proposed order for you to consider as you make your decision. You may use all of it, none of it, or even just as a point for discussion in your deliberations. By statute, you must issue a written decision which contains 4 parts: findings of facts, conclusions of law, a decision regarding what disciplinary action shall be taken, if any, and the policy reason for your decision and determination. If you decide that there has been a violation of a state statute or rule, you must then decide what disciplinary action is appropriate in accordance with the legal authority and consider the particular circumstances of this case. You have broad discretion, as you know. You may take the department's recommendation, which is the harshest disciplinary action taken, or you do nothing at all or anywhere in between, from a suspension for a set amount of time to a written warning, anything in between of that. As you know, your deliberations must be audible in public before all parties. If you need assistance with the law or the structure of your order, I will be available to assist you. It is inappropriate for the parties, their counsel, the witnesses, or any commission staff to participate in your deliberations. Any action taken by the commission must pass by a simple majority of the board. Unless there are any questions from the commission concerning my charge, I will now turn over the hearing to the commission chair to preside over your deliberations, after which you will issue your order for the 4 different parts as I've already alluded to. All right, Ms. Cooper, let's have you already started to disseminate that proposed order?
I have not, and I would also let the commission members know that the notice of hearing has been uploaded to your iPads. I don't believe it was there when the judge first mentioned it, but it has been loaded, so I apologize for that. And this is the proposed order.
Mr. Benedetti, did you bring any proposed orders for the commission members to consider this afternoon? It's not required, it's within my scheduling order, and that's fine, so make sure that Mr. Benedetti. Is this uploaded?
No.
Okay, I'll use that, and eventually, because it'll be part of the record.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Benedetti, both sides have the opportunity to submit what they would like the board to consider. The board members can adopt this in whole, reject it in whole. It's just a starting off point really for the commission members for deliberations and also for the drafting of the order. Since the order, they can't leave here today without a written order. It's the most judicially expeditious way for this to happen. All right.
Thank you.
Sure.
Members, any discussion on the matters at hand? And if you're ready, I can entertain a motion now, or if you want to go through each of the 4 parts.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Russell.
Good question about our decision making here. So we got the decision whether to revoke the certification, not revoke the certification. And do we have the option of suspending it for any length of time?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry.
And I will remind you, if there is in the findings of fact, we have 7 statements in the findings of fact, so 7 sentences. If in your review of that there is something in those 7 that are outlined that need amendments or corrections, then we discuss that. Then I believe it's the best of my recollection on the last formal hearing that I've been in is we have to have a vote on that, of those corrections or changes or amendments, and then we do the same in the conclusion of law and the rest of the parts. Or the board has the option to review all of this that's provided and adopt it as a whole. Am I right in that general truth? Okay.
So I'll make a motion to accept the findings of fact, our 7 parts.
We have a motion to accept all parts of findings of fact.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I've got a couple of comments there. I think
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Commissioner Cherry. Just looking over these findings of fact, I think all of them are accurate. The only part that I would have any question about is number 5, internal investigation was conducted. The discrepancy respondent statement about being struck by the mirror and statements by the officers, but the scene was determined the respondent's statement was not true. As far as it goes, I think it is correct. However, in my view, as a finding of fact, I do not believe that the respondent's statement was intentionally incorrect or with intent to deceive. I think that's an important point to consider here. So I would if it were in my power, I'd amend the motion to, or amend the, findings of fact to do that.
The only thing I would rebut on that, it's hard to talk about intent when we already know the fact of the action, the statements were untrue. So we can't read his intent, or I can't read his intent, but I can definitely hear what he told us.
But I think certainly I think we can see just from examining the tape on this, that he wasn't hit. The mirror didn't hit him. But I think it's important that we look at decertification and revocation of certification, what his intent was, whether he knowingly lied or whether he had any intent to deceive. I think that kind of gets to the whole point of should he have been fired?
And I still think it falls in truthfulness.
Well,
Yes, whether the intent was there or not, he wasn't truthful. And I can't read his intent, just like we don't know the motive of why he would or wouldn't give the correct statement.
I guess I kind of go back to the maybe the definition of lying. If I make a misstatement believing that it's true, is that the same as making a statement when I have an intent to deceive? I think there's a difference between those two, and I think it is relevant for the determination of his body, what his intent was, whether he meant to lie, or whether for whatever reason, because of his PTSD, or because of his brain injury, or because of the adrenaline and excitement of the moment, he thought he was hit by something when he really wasn't. I think that's certainly pertinent to whether he should have a certification.
And I could concur with you on that, except for we've gone into so much testimony of this Laverne conspiracy, and that's what at my last comments during testimony is where I got lost, was that he was the sacrificial lamb, when a lot of us have sat here and been through those very same scenarios in some form or fashion. I could say that he could be in trouble had he still been up front and being the flag bearer and carrying that to the end result. But in this case, just as his testimony, had he kept his mouth shut and the video and just went off what was on the video, I think the same results were going to happen. Just from my experience, this same thing, the same results that happened that day were going to happen no matter he got on the radio or not. But he's at the tail end of he's a victim. This guy was obviously on a mission. He was on a mission to get away from law enforcement. He was not seeking any help from law enforcement. But yeah, it's just a tiny little thing that hangs us up, and it's false reporting. And granted, it's not a problem until the videos are run, and that happens a lot these days. That's where I'm at. But I understand the excitement. Commissioner Wright.
Commissioner Wright, and we got to think of this also as you got a young officer that had been in 2 shootings. Testimony said one person ran over him. Now another pursuit. They had a lot more happen in a very short period than I had just about in my entire career, as short as it still was, with Highway Patrol. I could see where some things could be foggy post that incident. One thing that was pretty important to me, and it seemed like it was kind of a double standard. Chief testified that it was not really the truthfulness after the fact, it was the truthfulness at the time. And if that being the case, I see this other officer just about been in the exact same situation, that got his reports out right after the fact. And there was no disciplinary action or anything to that effect. So I can see where some fogginess would come in, and I think that's kind of where General Sherry's going, is that there was no intent for this. If it was, well, I lied because it was gonna help me in this way, there was nothing for him to gain out of it. I just think that's pretty important for us to think about as well.
I guess if it wasn't for the multiple times, the story keeps changing. Even today, so that kind of stays with me quite a bit, as opposed to just saying.
Again, I lost confidence when it became the conspiracy theory. I was good, and I made a mistake, I screwed up in the heat of the moment. It didn't hit me. I'm standing here waiting on somebody to come work the rest. We've lost 2 cars and then it goes on. But when we start in months and weeks down the road, and then all of a sudden Morgan and Morgan's gonna sue, well, they got rid of me because if anybody was gonna get sued, they're all gonna get sued. If anybody was gonna be indicted, they done been indicted.
Commissioner Wright again,
Yeah.
on that, if you don't mind.
That was right.
I think he was, in my eyes, a target of the department, but not because of this incident. I think that in their eyes, they now had an employee that had asked for employee assistance. They had been involved in one departmental shooting, one that had not, and mass all liability.
Yeah.
So I kind of leaning towards there might have been a department's out in that case. But in his mind, it's because of the pursuit.
Could have been, but we very well and it had the opportunity today to bring forth city HR folks and all these folks, and you saw how close he needs to go to law school, where he needs to go. With as good a cross as he had, he could have brought forth those folks and brought forth documents today and done a presentation here like it had never been done before. And that's where I'm lost with that. I wanna give him excuses, but I think it's in my opinion now, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to debunk any statements that you're making, but that's the way I look at it, is he's had the opportunity, he could have brought the whole city of Laverne in here and put them under examination, and done those same things, just like he did with the chief. And I know that testimony was a little fuzzy, but at the end of the day, he could have shored that up with HR, with these offerings. But there again, is it the mental problem, or is it the conspiracy that he is the sacrificial lamb? That's where I'm weighing on the scales. Do we really have a mental health problem? Do I really have PTSD? Did I really have a concussion or something from whatever the wreck was? Or is it I'm the sacrificial lamb? And I think he put more weight in I'm the sacrificial lamb than he did I've got a mental health problem. I've got PTSD. I've got something. That's the way I'm looking at it, but I'm also objective to what both of y'all are saying. Commissioner Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to clarify, do we need to vote on these findings of fact before we make a decision, or?
If there is, it's my understanding, and legal will correct me, but it's my understanding we've got a motion and a second on the floor to adopt as is. The discussion has been that by the Commissioner Cherry, that in number 5, he wants to see some language changed in that. So before we get any further, we have a motion
And it stands.
and a second adopting this as is. Commissioner Wagner,
Mr. Wagner, we still on discussion.
we're still on discussion, yes, sir.
I remember asking Chief Davis about, if he made the statement that he was hit with a mirror. And if he would have come across in the internal affairs investigation and said, well, it didn't happen, just perceived it or whatever, he wouldn't have fired him. And I'm of the opinion that Sheriff Portman is Chairman Portman, that the pursuit would have happened regardless of what he did at the scene. He wasn't involved in that. I don't know. I'm like Sheriff Portman. I don't understand all this other stuff. And then to the point of the EAP, which I've had extensive experience with through the years. Everybody knows that's voluntary. And you go to them, you can't order somebody to go. They even put, it's in training, they put posters up, you have to sign on the line that you've seen all that stuff. So I'm sort of the opinion like Chairman Park, that he's tried to make a scapegoat. He thinks they've tried to make him the scapegoat. I don't think that's the intent of the chief of the department of the city of Laverne. Because he admitted he did what he said those things. And I'm like Chief Green, he's sort of, it's sort of like what I said, it's my statement and I'm sticking to it. Which is often gets you in trouble real quick.
And we got even further in testimony today, that now it's something that's flashed off the side of the passive tanker.
Right.
So
And then
the more we watch it, the more it seems like something's happening.
when it really didn't have anything to do, it had to do with the chief's decision. I understand why, because I've been through those times. On the other hand, I can see Commissioner Cherry's point too. I mean, there's other things besides, there's anything from 30 days to revoking. So
There is a number of avenues, and I'm not forgot your point. But I will bring up one other thing in discussion then. We started at 1 o'clock. It's 4:30 p.m. We've been here a number of hours. And it always gets my attention when during testimony during all these things. When we brought the state's resources together and we hear testimony from individuals that say, well, it's just basically a matter of principle. I have no desire to do anything in law enforcement with this certificate. And to me right there, which I cannot do in the middle of a hearing, but right there is when I want to make my motion and go, well, we're done talking about this. You just stated you have no cause to want to keep your certificate. You have no desire to go back into law enforcement. You have no desire to act as a law enforcement officer. So what's the use of us sitting here arguing and haggling out, because we're not going to make case law in here. Now some of our state representatives might take some of these ideas and go forth and do something else, but that weighs on me too.
further comment, if you don't mind. I think what Commissioner Cherry's saying is that there's alternatives to that. Suspension for a period of time. I'm assuming that period of time, I'm not sure, Ms. Cooper, how long? Is there a time frame? 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
I have not heard of or done a suspension longer than 5 years. Based on our rules, after 3 years, you'd have to go to transition school, and after 7, you wouldn't be eligible to be certified anyway.
Let's go back again.
Yes, sir. So I would say for the post-commission purposes, it would be 7 years.
That's my thing.
All right, so I'm gonna revert back. We have a motion and a second on the floor. We'll call for the vote on that. If that motion fails, then we're gonna revert back to you, General Cherry, for further discussion.
Okay, can I make one last comment?
You sure can, sir. We're still open for discussion.
Drag this out, but just a couple of things. I agree that the whole scapegoat theory is kind of a losing theory. I don't think the department is really out to get this officer, or punish him, or hold him up to a sacrificial lamb. I think. Yeah, and I understand the position of the department that there was a false statement made. But again, I don't believe this officer made that statement to deceive, or serve himself, or get it over on anybody else. He's just trying to figure out what in the heck happened. He's come through a quick ordeal. He knows his shoulder hurt, something must have hit it. And even now, I'm not convinced at all that he knows what happened, how he got hurt, whether he hit himself with his baton, which seems kind of knucklehead.
Or he hurt himself getting out of the car while he was extending this baton.
I got stitches in the top of my head from hitting myself with a rifle when I was going through officer training with the Marine Corps. That's a boneheaded thing to do, and bonehead is probably just exactly the right way to describe it. But even now, it appears to me he's not clear about what happened. Could it have been debris? Could it have been the car? Could it have been something else? Could it have been nothing? Could it have been twisted his shoulder because he slept on a wrong night before? I don't know. So I have a hard time faulting him for trying to figure it out as we go along. But at the end of this discussion, my personal view of this, my finding of fact is that there was no intent to deceive. That punches a hole in the whole you lied theory, and punches a hole in the whole idea of whether the certification should be revoked. Whether he wants to go on in law enforcement or not. Now, if I were in that position, somebody asked me, were you ever certified? And asked me why my certification was revoked. I would hate to have to tell them just because they said that I lied. So I understand that principle thing, and I can't say that I would do anything different if I were in his shoes. So anyway, with that in mind, I will oppose the motion to adopt these findings of fact as they stand, and would look to amend finding of fact number 5 to include language about there not being an intent.
Thank you, General Terry. Call for the vote. Roll call.
As far as the motion is concerned, I will take a roll call vote. Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Commissioner Cherry. No. Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Isbell.
Aye.
Commissioner Russell.
Aye.
Commissioner Wagner.
No.
Commissioner Wright.
No.
Chairman Pardon.
Motion carries 5-4. Findings of fact as they stand. Going on to the conclusion of law.
Make a motion to accept as written.
We have have a motion to accept as written.
Mr. Chairman, can we just get some clarity of what that would do if we accept that?
So
I think it just gives you the option to either suspend or revoke, or based on the TCA, the way I read it.
But that wouldn't be the vote to do one of
No,
those three.
no
things.
judgment, just you're accepting the TCA.
You're just accepting what is written as
I'll second that
law.
motion.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to accept as written the conclusion of law. Is there discussion on the conclusion of law?
I'm sorry.
one clarification as to Commissioner Russell's. So as stated, it says for revocation. So it's not merely an acceptance of the applicable law.
I thought it says may suspend or revoke the certification.
Well, but the first sentence is grounds and conducts of constitute grounds for revocation.
But we have grounds for it, but it doesn't mean we have to.
Yeah, but also,
That's true, you could, but.
We can still suspend.
we also may suspend
Right.
or do
So-
other.
You might want to be careful about that language. That's all I'm saying, because.
Well, isn't that language what's in our,
Well, it constitutes, well,
that language is exactly what's in our.
the language is not the first sentence. You're saying the
We're
first
taking-
sentence is that the facts applied constitute grounds. for
So let me make an amendment to the motion.
Well, hang on a minute before you
Okay.
make that amendment. I'm still, I'm not, with all due respect, and I'm not an
I
attorney,
understand.
but the motion was to accept all that was written in this conclusion of law. So that not only takes the first sentence, it takes the second sentence and the other paragraphs. It leaves you as a whole
Right.
to accept the first sentence and the second sentence. Am I right or
Well-
wrong in that, Your Honor?
The way that I read the order, as someone who writes orders every day,
Right.
I would, if it's grounds for revocation, I would be careful as to the language. If you're saying it's ground for revocation and then not revoking,
Well, but
You're going to need
we're
to-
just adopting what is the language typed is basically all we're doing. We haven't made a decision on that.
If I can, but I can make a motion to say or suspend.
I think that's in the second sentence.
Okay.
I think it's taken care of.
All right.
It's taken care of.
You're amending your motion?
I can do it on the first sentence to say above constitute grounds for either suspension or revocation. If that appeases,
If I could offer my.
Your Honor.
perspective, as a lawyer, and I think the difference as a judge on this, but I think if we accepted all these facts as they stand, that those acts and conduct would constitute grounds for revocation under the rules. And that's, if we stop there, I think that's a correct statement. However, we're not obligated to take the action of a full revocation, and that comes in the second sentence. We may suspend or revoke the certification. So I think this conclusion of law is appropriate as it stands. However, at the same time, for any of us who voted to change the facts, I think to be consistent, we would likewise have to vote against the conclusion of law because we would not agree that the acts and conduct set forth constitute grounds for revocation. Does that make sense? In other words, if you voted no on the first set, to be consistent, you should vote no on the second set. If you vote yes on the first set, revocation would be warranted under these facts, but you may also simply suspend the power vote. And that's my perspective.
My comment was specifically directed to Commissioner Russell's question. So I have to agree with Commissioner Cherry, though, that if you want to do something different, you're going to need to state a reason why you're then. So you're happy, you can certainly adopt that language about revocation. But if you choose not to revocate, you're going to need to adopt some other language as to why you're differing from your conclusion of law.
Question.
Muddy the water, sorry.
On the conclusion, first sentence says paragraph 1 through 8. There's only 7 statements of fact. His conclusion is that number 8.
No, that would be amended. Because you're right, Commissioner Rager, you only adopted 7. facts.
yeah, so it would be, we need to amend it to say paragraphs 1 through 7.
Just a minor issue.
I apologize for the typo.
But I don't have a problem without amending it to say may constitute grounds for either suspension or revocation in the first sentence, if that brings more clarity.
I think it does.
Commissioner Russell, do you still second it?
I do second. I think it's pretty clear on that second sentence. It clears it up, and I agree.
Question is, that doesn't lock us in, then we have to vote on the conclusion to that.
All right. Ms. Cooper, you understand the motion in the second on the conclusion of law language?
I believe so. What I have done is the sentence will read, respondents' acts and conduct set forth in paragraphs 1 through 7 above constitute grounds for suspension or revocation under post-commission rule, etc. Is that the motion?
That's the motion.
That's what the man wants. Any discussion on that motion in second? Hearing none. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Commissioner Cherry.
No.
Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Isbell.
Aye.
Commissioner Russell.
Aye.
Commissioner Wagner.
Aye.
Commissioner Wright.
No.
Chairman Parton. It carries.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to page 3, adoption of the policy statement. Any comments, discussions, or concerns on the policy statement? If there's not, I'll entertain a motion.
If I may.
Yes, ma'am.
The proposed orders are written as a guideline. It's not set in stone. I would suggest that you vote on the judgment in the matter. And I can rearrange that in the
So you want us,
order going forward, but
you want us to vote on the judgment before we conclude on any other
well, the policy statement as written
is.
speaks to revocation.
Okay,
So-
it backs up what you originally had. Well, we'll just get to the heart of the matter. Let's go on and talk judgment. And since we had in the conclusion back there, you wanted to leave yourself an escape door. What is the pleasure of this board with this young man's post certification? Commissioner Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I went through 3 academies, and on the outside of one, it says a good name is earned by many and lost by one. And I truly believe that, and I believe truthfulness is a essential part of being a good law enforcement officer. With that being said, I do think the water is sort of muddy with what we heard here today. I think that Mr. Vendetti had good testimony. I think that Laverne's Police Department had good testimony. However, I personally didn't see anything where he took an oath of office presented in that testimony, and I didn't see any kind of signed general orders that he's actually read and signed and understood these general orders. So my motion will be is to suspend his certification for 3 years. And that's where I think we should go with it.
Okay.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second for a 3-year suspension. Is there any discussion on the 3-year suspension motion?
I have discussion on that. I think that we're in the right direction, but I think it needs to be longer than 3 years.
Did you say longer
Longer
or?
than 3 years. It needs to be at least 5. Which 3 years puts you transition training. 5 to 7 puts you in that safe zone where he doesn't have to go back to the academy. But he's got issues that he's dealing with personally and all that, and I think he needs time to come through all of it.
Mr. Russell.
I originally was going to go with 7. I went with 3 just simply because the post commission in 3 years would have to review it to see if he can go to transition school. And I necessarily don't think that the police department proved that he took an oath of office and read the general orders and signed them. And we wasn't provided any termination paperwork. We wasn't provided any relative general orders that he violated. We didn't see a disciplinary matrix, and we didn't have any testimony from his mayor. So, I mean, if we'd had all that, I would have went with a full 7, but I think 3 years is fine to give him a benefit of the doubt and remain my motion.
Now, I'll add to the discussion on that. If for some reason in the future, I know it keeps getting brought up about, you know, where we went from 3 and 7. So just keep in mind at some point in time that may get reversed back to a 5 and 10. I don't think it will, but who knows what's going to happen in the next 4 years. But if that has any bearing on what you gentlemen are discussing.
Follow up on it. The reason I come up with 5, and I understand the 3 and the retraining and that, but he's only been an officer almost 3 years. If we suspend it for 5 years, surely everything will be cleared up. Because if after the 3 years, he can go back, transition, go back to work.
And still have to have all the psychological stuff.
If I
Yes, Commissioner Wright.
can, it's already been a year and a half ago, so if we did 3, it'd be 4.5, so transition school wouldn't
Yeah, if we go back to the time of,
be eligible anyway.
So would this be 3 years from today, or would this be 3 years from when he?
it's on to how you interpret that with in your motion and legal.
So if we did 3 years
It's
from
technically still in compliance today.
so if we did 3 years from today, it'd actually be 5 years.
Well, but his license are still in compliance as we sit here today. So if you want him to go to transition school or you want him to go back through the full academy, you need to discuss where you want your starting date of the order of judgment. Does that make sense?
It does, and I think that
So if we made, if we carried it back to the date of termination, then that would,
Well, I don't think we could take it back to the date of termination. It has to go from today. Yeah, he's just got a break in service right now. Right now, all he's got to do to go back into law enforcement is go take a psychological, pass an interview and whatever policies they've hired policies, and he's back 10-8. But if you lay the order down today, as of today, I want him to be out over 3 years or over 5 years or over 7 years. That's going to determine whether he goes to transition school or back through the whole academy. That's the medicine that you're.
But if you do 3 years from today, where he's already been out of service for a year, his break in service is longer than.
That's 4 years, that's transition.
Right.
But on the other side, on the personal side, I'm not sure that he's ready to go back to work.
and he would have to get approval from the commission.
You'd have to come here for the waiver.
And if the commission reviewed his file and said, no, we think you need to be out another 2 years.
Yeah, if for some reason the future commissioners have to deal with this, then they can go back to what the file was of the hearings that we've had. They can see the minutes and the discussion and the deliberation that we've had in this matter. And they can go, let's ask and follow up with this. And see where he's at.
I'm at the will of the commission, but I think 3 more years would be close to the 5 years, and the commission can look at it again. And if they want to give him a couple more years to think about it, that'd be fine with me.
The way I look at it is, I don't think it's any doubt he's not ready to go back to work today. It's 3 years long enough for him to resolve other issues. And in his testimony, he's referring to the boy assistance program. Boy assistance program, nobody give him any help. He had a doctor's out of, which I think helps him a lot, but I'm not sure that I'm going to put him back to work today.
And I can give you some other food for thought that's just come to mind. So when we see these DUI cases that come in, we all, particularly this side of the room has an idea of what they like to see the time after. It's generally about 5 years, right? So understand, but from what we've seen, my averages has been about 5. How do we weigh out a DUI arrest compared to this? And I'm just giving you that food for thought.
So would the other side of the room be acceptable to amendment to the motion to make it 4 years? It's halfway between 3 and 5.
This is Commissioner Cherry. If I was to be consistent, I would oppose any motion for suspension just because I don't think suspension or revocation is appropriate. But I want to put it on the record that even though I oppose suspension or revocation, I would support 3-year suspension as a final resolution over anything else that could come out of this case. So if that makes any sense.
And I would
I'll
accept.
go over 3.
And I would accept.
Are you seconding my 3-year suspension? Is that what I hear?
Or
Oh, we do.
whatever.
We do.
I was good. We're almost halfway there.
Well, I'll renew my 3 years then.
The original motion was 3 years, and I had a second on the 3 years. We were on discussion. So I'm gonna call for the vote. If it fails, then we're gonna come back again to our distinguished State Attorney General here and have more discussion. So roll call vote on the 3-year suspension starting as of today's date.
Starting today.
It'd be the date of the order.
Date of the order, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Commissioner Cherry. Aye. Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Isabel.
No.
Commissioner Russell.
Aye.
Commissioner Wagner.
No.
Commissioner Wright.
Aye.
Chairman Porter. Motion carries.
Okay. Legal, did you? Ms. Cooper, you understand that's where we're at with the judgment now? Can we go on and? Is there any need to make any additions or corrections to the policy statement? If not, we will go ahead and. The revocation, yes. So in number 3. We would have to change that, we'd have to change that to a suspension of 3 years of the respondent certification in law. Is that the only one that we see there? That we-
In number 1, the last sentence should probably be changed to reflect suspension or revocation of officer certification.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Commissioner Cherry again, just for the sake of consistency, since I'm opposing almost everything here except the final resolution, I will also be opposing the policy statement that I do not consider that this is worthy of suspension or revocation. But just come on the record.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to discuss changing number 3 to the commission believes that the actions of the respondent potentially undermine the confidence of the citizens. We reduced it down to a suspension.
All right, so we're gonna have to do these one at a time. Let's start at number 1. Do I have a motion to adopt the language in the last sentence to, this is a suspension of certification for 3 years?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion and a second on that. Any discussion on sentence number 1 of the policy statement? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Cherry. Aye. Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Isabel. Aye. Commissioner Russell.
Aye.
Commissioner Wagner.
No.
Commissioner Wright. Chairman Porter.
Aye.
That passes.
All right, Ms. Cooper, you direct on the last sentence.
Not really. I had, this includes establishing standards for these. Is it, you just want suspension in there?
Yeah,
It's
the
not really
last sentence
at all.
would basically say, under the motion that we just voted on, this is a suspension of 3 years of officer's certification. Now, let's move on to number 2.
I make the motion to accept number 2 as is.
Have a motion to accept number 2 as is.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Green or Cherry is second. Any discussion? All in favor of that motion, I guess we do a roll call again.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Commissioner Cherry. Aye. Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Isabel. And Commissioner Russell.
Aye.
Commissioner Wagner.
Aye.
Commissioner Wright. Chairman Porter.
Aye.
Passes.
Thank you. All right, moving on to statement number 3. There was discussion a minute ago that the commission believes that the actions of the respondent
Potentially. Commissioner Russell.
undermine the confidence of the citizens of Tennessee and the law enforcement and the criminal justice system, and a suspension of the respondent certification as a law enforcement officer for 3 years at the end. Is that right?
Motion to accept.
For a term of 3 years.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Discussion on the motion.
Do we need to add from the time of the judgment to that?
And also from time of order.
So amended.
date of order from time of date of order. I'm not getting good legal language, but I think y'all understand the concept.
I'll second
Who was the second?
Russell.
Madam Recorder, did you catch all that? Okay. Ms. Cooper, are you clear?
Yes, sir.
I think we're doing better on these as time goes along.
You're getting more
Let's
practice.
Get really complicated.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any further discussion on statement number three's changes? And I'll say it again. The commission believes that the actions of the respondent potentially undermine the confidence of citizens of Tennessee in law enforcement and the criminal justice system, and a suspension of the respondent certification as a law enforcement officer for a term of 3 years and from the date of the order. That's the motion, correct? Can I have a second? Motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Cherry.
No.
Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Isbell.
No.
Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Wagner.
Aye.
Commissioner Wright. Chairman Pardon. Passes.
And that's it. And we got the rest as part of the final order. Except the judge and leave it.
All right, thank you, Commission members. So, Mr. Benedetti, I know I have your correct email address, and the mailing address I have for you is 7456 Nolensville Road in Nolensville, 77134. Is that your correct mailing address?
Not anymore, Your Honor.
Okay,
Sorry,
no, that's all right. Tell me your correct mailing address, please.
2037 Oak Trail Drive, Nolensville, Tennessee.
Is it still 37134?
135.
135.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so once the corrected order is submitted to the chair, he'll sign that. It'll be filed in my office. You'll be getting an email copy as well as a print copy. Attached to the order is a printed document which lists the various routes for appeal, the various timeframes in which to do so. Any questions for me regarding procedure of that, Mr. Benedetti?
Have we already decided on the outcome of my post certification?
Yes, so your suspension, they're going to suspend it for 3 years.
Thank you.
And then, but there's appeal rights, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you, so that you don't have to avail yourself of those. I just have to let you know on the record that you have the right to appeal the commission's decision.
Thank you.
All right, commission members, I appreciate, as always, your very thoughtful deliberations on this case. Thank you, Counselor, and thank you, Mr. Benedetti, for your presentation today. We got a hearing. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
I didn't remember that.